All right, good evening. Welcome to the Select Board meeting of Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. Tonight's agenda will be starting with community input, followed by appointments and resignations. At 7:10, we're going to review special town meeting logistics and timing with moderator Wayne Davis. At 7:40, we're going to have an update from the Carlisle School District and Concord Carlisle Regional School District on anti-discrimination efforts. 8:10, approval of Maple Street no parking signs, followed by a discussion of the November 2nd special town meeting warrant articles. 9:45, we're going to look at alcohol permits, then the town administrator report, liaison reports, review of warrants and minutes, and again, closing with community input. So with that, I think we're all present and accounted for, so no need to do a roll call vote. We'll just roll right into it.
I have a question, Mr. Chair. So why are we doing the warrant, if Wayne's here now, why are we doing the warrant articles like some future time after he's left?
Because Wayne needs to leave
Okay.
for an appointment, and also there was a conflict with Brian. He needed to go earlier for the school update.
All right.
And I think what we need to cover with Wayne, we'll cover with Wayne.
Okay. That would be a good approach.
All right, so let's open it up to community input. Looking at the room, seeing none. We'll go online. Does anyone online have any community input? Seeing none, let's move on to appointments and resignations. Ryan was going to notify us of a couple of town administrator appointments. So seeing he is out of the room, why don't we just move ahead and...
Well, do you want to just read them out loud for the sake
Sure.
of people listening to the recording?
Okay, we have one notice of resignation, and that reads, "The board is hereby notified of the resignation of Dana Booth from the Cemetery Committee, effective upon the board appointing a replacement." And we have notification of town administrator appointments. The board is hereby notified of the following appointments made by the town administrator: Mark Cianci to the position of Police and Animal Control Officer for the Police Department, and Jessica Rittenhouse to the position of Finance HR Assistant for the Treasurer Collector and Human Resources Departments. And Town Administrator, did you have any commentary on those?
Yes, so Mark joins us. He was the Animal Control Officer for a district based out of Chelmsford. Animal control doesn't necessarily mean police officer. They can serve in that capacity as it's a secondary function, but here he's going to serve as both a police officer and an animal control officer. We had talked about this previously. That allows us to get to the 13th officer while using the funds from animal control and have a full-time person. Maybe down the road we would consider some type of regionalization as well, which would help us with revenue and different initiatives. So Mark's highly trained. He's in the academy right now, and that'll be a good investment when he comes out. We will have a fully qualified officer with animal control skills, which we've been missing formally for a couple of years. And Jessica comes to us from the city of Amesbury. A lot of HR experience in her background, but municipal experience in Amesbury. She started this week. We're very excited to have her, as there's been a gap in the human resources and treasury department trying to fill the big shoes of Anish Coates, who retired earlier this year. So Aubrey's happy, which makes me happy and allows us to function well. We're very glad to add the professionalism that Jessica's going to bring.
Excellent. Great. Okay, with that, we're going to move to the 7:10 agenda item of reviewing special town meeting logistics with moderator Wayne Davis. Come on down.
Good evening, and welcome to the crowds here tonight.
Planning board wore 'em out.
Everyone was
I
there.
guess so.
Yeah.
So I gave, there was a memo in your packets that I had written about a week ago, and assorted details in there, but I'll just, if you want to question me about any of the particular details, we can go into that. I just wanted to highlight the two big changes. First is that the Historical Commission has decided that they do not want to move forward with their article. And then I
So
think
Wayne, they're
it's-
not delaying till spring, they're just not moving forward?
They plan to move forward with it, but not at special town meeting.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, that's up to them, not me.
Got it.
And then the planning board, my understanding, and anyone please correct me if I'm wrong, is that they voted to move forward on it with 2 rather than 3 options, specifically the St. Irene's and Woodward Village options.
That's right.
So that leads to 2 changes to what I had submitted to you. One is the voting procedure on the MBTA. And while the procedural geek in me was looking forward to having the 3-option voting thing, we're all much better off
Yeah.
with only 2. And so it's going to be fairly simple and straightforward. First, we will have basically the 2 options will be voted against each other. So and we'll figure out how the precise details, but it'll be which do you prefer, St. Irene's or Woodward Village? Have that vote, then we will have presumably a winner. Hope we don't have a tie, but we'll figure out a tiebreaker. And then whichever one prevails, then we will have a second vote, and that'll be a straight up and down vote, just like you would normally have on any zoning article. Whether it's St. Irene's or Woodward Village, do you want it, yes or no? And then we're done.
So the first vote, you either have to pick one of them or you can simply abstain, I guess. Right?
There is no abstaining. You either vote or you don't vote.
Well,
Vote
not
is-
voting is abstaining. I mean, what I mean is, let me,
Yeah, I mean, but
I
no,
sit with my
no,
clicker.
no,
I
it's,
sit with my clicker.
your clicker
I
has
can-
2
I can do
choices.
Woodward Village or St. Irene's, or I can put the clicker down the phone.
Yes,
Those are, I have 3 choices. I actually have 3 choices. But only 2 of them will count.
Only 2 of them will count, yes.
Right.
That is
And
correct.
then, so one winner from those who choose to vote will then be put against the people who
That
folded
is,
their hands.
that is
presumably.
correct, yes.
And it's a simple majority, right?
Simple majority.
We've determined that, council cleared that, it's not a bylaw issue or something? I thought there was a question about it.
There have been people questioning it, and the advice of council has
Okay.
been steady all along, that these qualify as MBTA. And no one has given me any reason
Okay.
to
All right, good.
question that, so that's where
That's
I'm
good.
coming down.
Wayne, how do you plan to handle because I know you probably look at City in the Woods, I know you do, but in other residents, there are some who may want to not comply with the MBTA zoning bylaw and
Don't want us to comply with.
do not want the town to comply, similar to Milton or some others. How do you plan to handle that?
I'm not sure what there is to handle.
If there was
someone wants
if there
to
was to make
stand,
a motion, if someone, I guess you'd address it at the time, and they would be able to make a motion.
so, okay. So I think what people should understand, if that is what they want, they should stand up and say, I'm going to vote no, and I urge the rest of you to vote no, and here's why.
Right.
That's their primary means of doing it, is just vote no and get all their friends and neighbors to vote no, if that's what they want. It's
For the
fairly
last
simple.
second
Now,
vote,
yeah.
when you have either
Yeah.
you have a site, so you can choose yes or no to approve that site, you vote no, and that is your way of saying, I don't think we should comply.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
So the variation of
so
the question I
there,
asked.
so,
Yeah.
so, well, perhaps another way of saying it is the option to not comply is not on the warrant. You did not put that question to the people. The only question is, do you want whatever the planning board has come up with, yes or no? The implications of no here are the same as almost anything else. Either, if there's a no vote, either the town will go back to the drawing board and try again. And there are some people who argue, we don't like what the planning board has done, but we're not arguing for non-compliance. We're just saying we don't like the options. Saying, come back to us again. There are other people who say we should not comply under any. So, but those are political consequences of voting no, and it will lie to the future to figure out what's going to happen. But that's really no different than anything else. Do we want to vote for a new school, a new fire station? If we vote no, the
Well,
town's
no,
going to
the
come back
difference, I
to
think-
whether it's in a year or 5 years or 10 years.
Right. No, the difference, you can vote no on anything and not do it, but you can't, or an individual cannot force the town officials or the town to not follow a law. Like if somebody can't put forward a thing that says, I want unlicensed marijuana sold on this corner of the circle. You can't put that in. We wouldn't allow it. There's no law that would
Right.
support it. And so you can't put in a thing that says, well, we won't follow it no matter what. Like, that can't be a thing that we would
Right,
acknowledge
yeah.
if somebody were trying
Yeah.
to move that.
Yeah. So for all practical purposes, if that is someone's intent, then their avenue for getting that done is to vote no. Now, yes, I've got my procedural book here. There are 3 or 4 other arcane ways that someone could try to sabotage things if that's what their intent is. Go ahead and get the book and figure out how to do it. I'm not going to tell you.
But look at
I'll be
How to-
prepared for those.
That's
Trust
a town
me.
meeting book.
Yeah. So
You get it on
that's
Amazon.
those are their options. Okay.
I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone.
No, I understand. No, you're asking. No, you're doing.
Not.
I just take it that you're doing what your job is you've heard that and you're asking a question that people need an answer
I
to.
believe, I will say, look, people are generally pretty thoughtful. They may be emotional, but they're thoughtful. And I think, listening to the hearings like last night's, those who believe that the law is meat-headed and shouldn't be applied to a town like Carlisle, and there's a lot of reasons to say that's not a stupid way to go about it, have an out now in St. Irene's where the diocese says, we ain't selling. If you want to tick the box with the lowest probability of actually enacting the intent of the law, pick the place where the owner has said, I don't care, I don't want to do that, right? They provided an option where people can vote for the law and comply, but not the intent of the law, which is to build affordable housing. And then there will still be some people who vote no. But I don't think there's gonna be people who will say, it's personal opinion, I guess, that the ranting and there's been plenty of time for the ranting and raving. We've really narrowed it down to these very little things. I actually believe that there won't be so much ranting and raving, because it's already had its vetting and.
And
there's
on
enough.
that note, are we anticipating it to go as long and expect as many people as we thought?
I don't know.
No.
I have no way of knowing.
Scott, are we voting?
You
on just one
may
night?
your ears may be closer to the ground than mine.
Well,
I
that-
don't know.
That's
We'll
later.
discuss that with Wayne. We don't vote on one night.
Okay, Wayne says
That's
it shall
that-
be, yea verily.
Okay, so that was my second thing. So the voting, can we just close on the vote? Was there anything else on the voting?
Just
Okay.
another point for us is committees with a recommendation, you're going to give up to 2 minutes to make a statement explaining the recommendation, correct?
Yes, if they ask for it.
So as a select board, does someone want to put together the 2-minute statement for town
Depends
meeting?
if we recommend.
And we're just-
But ours is just.
Again, our
that we
position is we're just
support
urging
compliance
compliance.
with the
Yeah.
law,
I don't know,
Right.
does that even need 2 minutes?
nothing else.
We support the law.
I'm clerk, I'll put together a statement. I
Good.
can't vouch it's gonna say exactly 2 minutes, but yeah.
No, but we,
A
I think it's worthwhile at least making
Yeah.
a statement as
Sure.
to why we're recommending compliance. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
2 minutes, but I
Could be
think,
less.
I think everyone will appreciate.
Appreciates less.
Brevity.
and again, I think like the finance committee should issue a statement and then just briefly summarize like the financial reasons for compliance.
So Wayne, are you, on a related note then, for each of the 2 options, are people coming to volunteer? Who would be a person that would speak in favor of planning board, I presume, is gonna present, like yesterday, sort of a fact-based rationale for their selection.
I presume so, I don't
Okay.
know
But
that for a
they're-
fact, you can ask them.
Have they reached out to you to make a presentation?
Oh, they will be, and I, we discussed it last week
Yeah.
at my pre-planning meeting, and, you know, the planning board chair obviously could not know last week how the
Right.
board would actually vote.
Right.
So it was difficult to complete the discussion, and so we said we'd follow up this week and
But
figure.
that, the planning board presumably is presenting reasons to vote yes for either of the two, because they've been vetted and they.
They've, presumably they will do that, and some,
But are other
and
people-
there have been recommendations coming into me, which I have shared with the planning board, that say that people would like to hear both pluses and minuses
Right,
associated
that's my
with both.
question. So is anybody raising their hand to say why
So,
a particular site's not a
okay,
good?
so, so number one, it's up to the planning board to decide what to do, what they want to present.
Okay.
In terms of opposition, I've tried to broadcast for the last 6 weeks that I'm open to either opposition, or if there are neighborhood groups that are organizing for or against something, that they should identify themselves, come forward, and if they'd like time, ask me for it. The one group that came forward was associated with West Street, so they let me know, thank you very much, we're happy not to speak, because they're no longer on the table.
Right, right.
So, will someone come forward in the next couple of days
But
around
it's-
St.
it's
Arians?
for them to come forward.
It's up to them. I'm not reaching out to try to find somebody.
Right.
So that's how that will go. And
Okay.
so it may be that no one steps forward. And as I explained last week at the meeting that I had, I was deliberately vague and leaving myself open to how it would actually be done, because I had no idea, A, what the planning board was going to recommend, B, what the reactions would be, and C, whether anyone would actually step forward and say, I'm opposed, or how they would do it. It's just with so many options.
Well, other
it's
than
impossible.
stepping up to the mic.
Right, yes, other than.
The
stepping-
normal way, but if.
Right, the normal way, but my rule is, I'd like to see if someone says I'm representing a group,
Right.
I'd like, I'm not gonna make them prove absolutely, but I'll ask some questions to assure myself that yes, they're actually legitimately representing more than just
And
themselves.
for that, they get an actual chance to present something and make it.
I left it open as to how much additional room I would give them, because again, I didn't know,
Yeah.
possibility of having 6 groups come forward. I wasn't gonna give each of them 10 minutes, so.
Wayne, who is actually presenting these agreed facts? Or is it just sort of presented in written form and say, this is the gospel?
So there will be a meeting scheduled for Thursday evening. And we'll see who shows up. And we'll see if they can reach agreement on a set of facts that they'd like to put forward. If they reach some agreement on how they'd like to handle it, then they'll do it. This, again, this is something new. We're experimenting with it. We'll see what happens and if it works. It was, David was the one who picked up the idea at a webinar, and it's a great idea where there's clear sides to an issue. At this point, there's not exactly clear sides to this
But
issue
wasn't
with 2
in-
options. So for a lot of structural reasons, I've been very cautious. I don't know that we're actually going to do this.
Right.
We're going to try, and we'll see how it goes.
You don't, about the agreed facts?
Yes,
Oh,
But
okay.
It actually came out of Mark, what's his name? at
Mark
Andover.
DeSalvo in
Right,
North Andover.
and I was under the impression that he presented. He,
No,
the town
no, he-
moderator said.
No, he did not.
He did not, okay.
He did not. It was, in his case, it was a little bit easier because it was a zoning proposal and you had two members of the planning board who were on opposite sides of the fence. And they agreed it would be a good way to handle it, and so they jointly presented.
I mean, I think it's a good idea because there is all manner of misinformation floating around out there, including this is going to be a money loser, you know, we're going to, I don't know.
We're gonna have to build the houses.
Right, yeah, I mean, there's just an awful lot of, yeah, we'd have to build the houses, I mean, all manner of just craziness out there, so
No, we
I
don't.
feel like it'd be great if we just had
Oh.
these are the facts, and, you know, we don't spend our time,
Sucked in.
you know, snuffing out, non-facts, I don't know what to call it.
Well,
So here's what I can tell you. If we can get, that's exactly the rationale for why we're trying to do it. So if it works, it will be helpful for that reason. If it doesn't work, the planning board has already, they published a FAQ and a background information sheet
Right, yeah.
months ago where they were attempting to get that information out. So in some way, shape, or form, my understanding is the planning board will make sure that at least their version of the plain facts will be out there. Might others choose to say, no, the planning board has lied? Yeah, it may happen.
Well, but I
you know.
think Christine brings up a really good point. So if somebody stepped up to the microphone and said, to Travis's point, the town can't afford to build all those houses.
Right.
Wouldn't you interject and say, what you're voting on does not compel the town to build anything, it's just the zoning of building? Wouldn't you correct that record in real time to kind of shush them up?
I probably
It's a fact.
would, and something like that,
Yeah.
it would be fairly easy to do because
Right.
I would probably be able to say, as so-and-so from the planning board explained,
Right. It doesn't
that this
compel us
does
to
not,
build anything.
that this does not obligate the town to
Right.
build
So
anything.
that's a kind of a fact that just exists, right? I mean, you know those and those FAQs, I don't want to tell you what to do, but that seems a simple one. The, yeah, I think. What time and when is your meeting on Thursday?
So the meeting is Thursday at 7.
Yeah.
It's in the Heald Room. It's
Okay.
intended to be a small
So
room.
it's-
I don't want a whole lot of people. It's intended to be a drafting session.
Okay.
So I've told the neighborhood groups, you can bring more than one person if you want, but only one person may be at the table, and
Okay, so you have,
it's
there are
it's a
groups-
drafting session. It's
There are groups
not,
that have stepped up to do that.
yes.
Okay, all right.
So we'll just have to see
All right.
how it
Sounds
goes.
good to me.
The bigger question, obviously, to get back to is, okay, so do we need 2 days? I think obviously not. And, the rationale before was, okay, MBTA is going to take a long time, so let's put everything else on Monday. Now that we know that we've only got 2 articles, my instinct is that we should take up the fire station first.
I agree.
I don't know how long that will be. I'm not anticipating that it'll be very controversial, but if you all have different information, please let me know. But, so my sense would be that, and I have the discretion under my general authority to regulate the process at the meeting, even though you set the agenda, you put MBTA 1, well, I can flip the order if I choose to, unless anyone strenuously objects, then we can have a discussion about it, but unless you tell me you think differently, and unless I hear from an uprising from the public in the next couple of days, then
We want 2 days.
I'm just going, I'm just gonna say, okay, let's get started. We're gonna take up Article 2, I forget which number it is at this point. We're gonna take up the fire station first, get that done, and then we'll move on. So that would be
We're all
my
in agreement?
intention.
I think the
Oh, yeah.
board here is in agreement.
Yep.
Okay, and we will, depending on how long that takes, I would hope it's always hard for me to predict how long a meeting is going to be, and particularly with this one where the pieces have been moving until pretty close to the end. It's hard for anyone to know what's going to happen. Certainly, if we reach 4:30 or 5 o'clock and we haven't taken a vote, then I will, at least informally, ask, okay, do we think we're ready to vote? How many more
This is on
people
the
are
fire
ready to speak?
station?
No,
No.
No,
you're
I'm talking
the
about.
MBTA. Okay,
I
great.
We're still on the fire station.
Yeah, no, I presume we will.
Okay, good.
I presume that the fire station will be less than an hour.
Yeah.
The presentation's
Maybe.
only an hour and a half, so.
Okay. So yeah, so I presume we'll be moving along on that and onto the MBTA. And, if it's starting, people want to get home for dinner, and, if something happens and we're not even close to ready for a vote at 5 o'clock, then I'll ask, okay, do you want to stick it out here, or do you want to take an hour and a half break and go home for dinner, or what do you want to do? And we'll see what the meeting wants.
If you feel like the debate is dragging on, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's the same points being made over and over again. So say after an hour and a half, I mean, would you interject sooner to say, do we want to take a vote on this? Because there's already been so much discourse.
Well, I think my style has been to gently prod with a lot of things. Is there any new points that anyone has made? Things like that. And I was encouraged by the feedback from this past spring to be a little bit more aggressive with that sort of behavior. So I will be, okay? And that's what I consider like sort of the informal way I regulate the proceeding. And then what I'm saying is, at some point, I will explicitly say, okay, I'm not hearing too many new arguments. Does that mean we're ready for a vote? And we'll see. We'll see where we are. If there are a lot, and I will be asking people to line up at the microphones. So that will also give us a pretty good visual.
But not like the A and B, choice 1, choice 2 microphone, just any microphone.
Yeah, any microphone.
Is that guaranteed that you're gonna flip them? Because I'd like to publicize that.
That I'm going to.
The
Fire
articles,
first,
yes.
fire station first.
Yes, and I think the way to put it is, it's the, I think a fair statement, given what you said tonight. It's the moderator's intent, and having heard the I trust unanimous support of the select board to flip the order, that's my intent, unless I hear some compelling outcry from the public between now and then. So people can contact me directly if they think it's a terrible thing to do.
Because there's probably going to be a line, and I'm assuming some people were thinking that they would come after the MBTA discussion for fire station maybe, or the second night. So that's why I would like to publicize it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we should
no, they
publicize
should,
it.
they have, yeah, it should definitely be
And
publicized.
then we can publicize it's one night only as well, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
the plan is for
Put
this
that
Sunday.
down. One night,
Day
let's
only,
set
one day.
expectations.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
how
I mean, I
about
think,
one afternoon?
I was just looking.
Right, it's Sunday afternoon, really, we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah,
Not
no,
even for night.
I mean, it's
What
right
is
on the
Sunday?
splash page when you open up the town website. It says 2-night town meeting, so there are a
Right.
variety of things that.
Yeah,
need to be
1 to
updated.
4. Sunday, 1 to 4.
Right.
Sunday,
Want to get
set
to 4 o'clock
expectations,
NFL.
sure.
Isn't there a football game on that?
What time are the
At least.
Patriots playing?
1 o'clock.
Are they-
Get your recording set up.
I'm up behind Wayne.
So,
Are we gonna talk about the question of finances for this, and
Yeah, I'd like to.
are we doing
Yeah.
that at this point in the agenda?
Do you have more?
no, I don't have anything else that I want to go over. If you have any questions for me.
One very specific question.
Yeah.
In those 2-minute statements, if from a board, and I'm thinking more of the fire station, if, say, Finance Committee has a recommendation, in that 2 minutes, are they able to show a slide if it's in the deck?
Yes,
Okay.
I think the one thing I should say, and maybe if you could communicate to the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee actually has a special role at town meeting. And in some towns, it's actually called the advisory committee, which is a little bit actually of a more accurate term, because its role actually is to advise the town meeting on all financial affairs. So it actually, you have executive authority. Finance committee's authority, its responsibility and accountability, even though you appoint them, really runs to town meeting. So they get a little, as far as I'm concerned, they get a little bit of special dispensation. So if there's a need for a slide or whatever with respect to the fire station, or indeed, and I don't know how salient it will be, but it was a major effort by the FinCom to collect information on the potential fiscal impact on the MBTA. And if the planning board doesn't choose to present that, but the FinCom wanted to share it, that's important information. It's part of their responsibility at town meeting. So certainly I'd be open to them doing that.
So, I'm sorry, you're saying, so FinCom could take as much time as they want to present their
Not
fact.
quite as much time as they
Well,
want.
but not 2 minutes.
But yeah, thankfully, FinCom almost never has long-winded people on it.
Yes, they are efficient in all manners, I have
Yeah.
noticed, yeah. Okay, very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So you don't need me?
Well, I think you should.
I can stay. Yeah, I've got plenty of
So-
time. Sir.
Risk management exercise. It is expensive to open the gym. So a lot of the costs associated with this town meeting involve the gym. So the 90%, a lot of people coming into this meeting that I don't know. Okay. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. So if you assume a 90% capacity or a more comfortable capacity at the school, we can fit, and this is math thanks to Wayne, in the Corey Auditorium, you can fit 346 in the lower bowl, and then 65 in the upper seating for a total of 410. And if you add the cafeteria, there's about 230 seats in there, or 643.
That's plenty.
Yeah, that's funny.
The downside of not having enough, we can't set up the gym after the fact.
No, I realize.
It has to be set up beforehand. If there's more than 643,
That includes the cafeteria.
Yes.
Is there any overflow capacity at Penfield? People wanted to try it out there.
Not
not a lot.
Not much.
So the issue you're going to run into is being able to see and hear the presentations, and then the voting is going to be particularly.
But that's the problem anyway in the gym, right? I mean, any of the remote.
So the gym, we are prepared right now to wire it for audio, visual,
What's the
and
cost of all that?
just the gym alone, assuming that Meridia will cut in half, which we don't know, about 12,000 for just the gym.
I think
And
Okay. I think
12 hours of labor.
Yeah, I think it's not gonna. I
So
would offer
just-
the first 100 entrants a Wayne Davis bobblehead doll, and say the first 650 get to sit down.
Yes, exactly.
There are vintage purple Wayne buttons, circa 1990.
Wow.
Are they really?
So there's a small risk if you had 800 to 1,000 people that we'd either have to scramble for an hour to get it set up, which I'm confident we could do something. But if it overflows that, then you'd have to cancel the town meeting.
Wait a
That's
minute.
the biggest risk.
Overflows the scrambling? What does that mean?
Meaning, like, we could try to grab chairs from everywhere.
But not to the gym. You mean just.
We'd
Is it
have
a
to
chair
find-
thing or a gym thing you're talking?
We'd have to find a way to get a screen in there.
Okay, so you would if 650 is like you're at fire code at that point or something, right?
Yeah, so just to give you
We could squeeze
reference.
700 in, but it would be
Yeah.
tight.
Yeah. So when we looked at going back to 2001, in order to, we did this analysis to figure out how many keypads to buy. Most of the town meetings ran in the range of 225 to 325. If there were hotter issues like deer hunting or the leash law, things like that, you could get up into the mid 300s. the two votes, first to build the school, and then for the high school, we got up to like 440 or so.
We did.
So
I don't know.
the capacity that we have with the cafeteria and the auditorium, and that again is at 90%, so it could go a little bit higher than what Ryan said, those exact numbers. That's 50% higher
We've
than
ever seen.
we've seen in the last 20 years. And I don't remember any bigger meetings in the 90s, and I don't know what happened before 1993. But
So the expense is custodial?
And equipment
And
and setup
Audio, visual, and the clickers.
and the labor to set it all up.
So we still, if, let's say, for talking purposes here, it is 600 people show up. So physically they can sit, we don't need the gym. We still need renting extra clickers, right?
yeah, and
So you gotta
part
rent.
of part of the expense with the clickers, and I'm not quite sure whether they'll forego the second staff person, but it's not just having the keypads, but it's the physical setup and having two staff people, just because, and similarly
And
with
what's that
the
cost?
audio and visual, is you just need more
Okay, so
people
what's
to
that
come.
cost?
The two voting people, or
Voting people with all the clickers, because you gotta have enough. clickers.
12,500.
That's 12,500? So what's the gym cost then?
The gym is, they have to run.
No, maybe I misspoke. Let's say we're not gonna use the gym, but we have to have enough clickers so that if we pack the two spaces we do have, people still have clickers.
We need 700.
They were gonna come on Friday and program 1,000 clickers.
Right.
Which is why 2 people was definitely
Okay,
necessary.
alright.
So maybe they'll cut it down to,
But that's still the bulk of the cost, not the custodial and the AVs.
custodial, we could get away with 1 if we have the 1 space. That's
So
$5.
I think we're solving the wrong problem, it sounds to
So
me.
what I was trying to explain, the audio and visual is also about 5 to 10 grand,
Also, so the whole thing's like 20 grand.
30.
No, we can't do that, that's crazy.
So the whole town meeting is 30 plus,
And we could take 12 off of that if we don't use the gym.
around that.
So we
Roughly.
should, yeah. But we should have 700 clickers.
The risk, is why I said risk management,
Mhm.
is we're gonna pay 12.5 no matter what, if we have to redo the meeting.
And pay another 12.
Right.
Do you have
Well-
to use the clickers?
No, you do the hand
Can
vote.
we do our hand vote, which we did years ago?
Yeah, you go back to the old school, and somebody with a pad.
I think people would be furious.
So what?
That's your risk, again, risk
I'm not ready
management.
for
But you're,
Oh, boy,
we're
David.
talking $30,000.
so-
Yeah.
This is real money
It's real
for
money.
right
Yeah.
now.
Well,
Yeah.
Half a staff.
I just don't think there's the juice in it anymore either. I mean, it's important, but
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get
I
the,
don't.
If we're all agreed
Sunday,
that the
with
risk
the
is
pads
worth it,
playing and
then we
everything
could
else
try to
going on.
shave some of these
Oh my
costs.
I believe that the turnout will be lower and the meeting will be shorter.
I agree.
Based on all of the honing of.
Well, certainly all the changes that have occurred in the last 2 weeks have really
Yeah.
tamped it down.
Yeah.
And 2 controversial bills went away.
Yeah.
Right.
Since people are following this, the cabling just to set up the gym for the audio and the visual, we have to rent a projection screen and projector,
Right.
set all that up. I just want people to know, like, it's not arbitrary cost, it's just a
No,
lot.
it's expensive.
Right.
And there's likely no one gonna be sitting in the gym.
But you want to order enough clickers and support for enough clickers that we can vote electronically. People will.
yeah, I mean, so the risk is, it's not just taking the final votes, but if other things come up and we have to do any kind of
Right,
counted
it's
vote,
really crazy, right.
you know, it's gonna take a half an hour.
Yeah.
And unlike an annual town meeting where, you know, even if there's a long time for tabulation, you can move on to other business, it's not gonna be any other business.
Right, you gotta
Yeah,
wait.
so you're gonna have a bunch of people
Okay.
sitting around.
Okay.
Okay, the second thing, there has been a request for babysitting. Because we set it up twice and no one did it.
Right.
Of course, this time there will be, and, do we want to provide that service? So right now, it's only,
I'm gonna turn to my esteemed colleague, Mr. Waterston, for his viewpoint, which is.
My viewpoint is it's a Sunday.
Right.
It's a Sunday afternoon.
Right.
I mean,
One spouse goes, one spouse stays.
or you line up something else. I mean, we lined up childcare 2 months ago knowing this was coming.
Well, you were
so-
using that as an excuse for a no kids weekend. That's not exactly that.
That was in the spring, so I don't think it's gonna be worth the effort to do childcare.
So, you know, I have, those last 2 times, I was volunteering for the overflow capacity to serve as babysitter and take care of any overflow, and I got like 0 takers, right? So what I'd like to suggest is if these people who say, I really need childcare or else I can't attend, ask them if they could pull together a group of 5 to 10 people, and if these people all sign up to say, we need babysitting services,
And we'll come to town meeting.
and we'll, yes. Yes, and we'll come to town meeting. We can absolutely line up. You know, I have 2 teenage daughters. They run on cross country at the high school. We have all manner of teenage girls in our life, and they are all dying for babysitting jobs. And they would have no problem with babysitting for Sunday afternoon during town meeting for volunteer hours.
Does that work, Ryan, in terms of, we don't have to have it be a sort of formal,
Shouldn't be, the town can't.
Childcare.
Because then you get
We would have to be on site, and there would have
Yeah.
to be
So
someone with a cord.
there was a little corner in the
somebody
cafe.
that's quarried? And they have, to be quarried, do you have to be 18 or older?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't think you're going down that road. I think the road
So-
you're gonna go down is, if I'm City in the Woods or whatever, my daughters would be happy to babysit if you wanna go.
Yeah, so you could go to someone's
You're
house
Oh, so you
or
just
whatever.
come to your house.
We could also, yeah,
This is
you know,
Carlisle, right?
the other avenue I was going to take was, you know, I volunteered for I don't know how many years chaperoning every week at FNL, and the people who run the youth committee are super on top of it. They've got this whole team of people who are quarried already, and they know the gym area.
There's a
They can
use
set
for
up
the
a little
gym.
movie in the little gym, and
No
they do
AV?
this all the time.
Well, maybe there is AV now.
Brooke McIntosh, so.
So we don't want to turn anyone down, but if we could please have some sort of guarantee that someone's actually going to show up.
Okay, so your direction is there needs to be a bigger capacity for the town to officially consider it, but we can help facilitate smaller
Yes.
groups.
Absolutely.
Got it.
And you're saying we could help provide names of people that they could, a family could contact if they want to have somebody come to their house to babysit?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I could do that too.
Yeah.
In the last several.
Again, with the idea that they're going to go to town meeting.
Yeah, yeah, for the purpose of
I'd laugh at
town
that, but
meeting.
The last several town meetings, though, the town did
Yeah.
go out of its way to provide babysitting as
Yeah.
a town service to people. And we had, how many people show up?
well, twice that I did it, 0.
0.
Precisely
Yeah.
0.
And then Rachel Levy didn't do it because she couldn't get enough people, and she was gonna have a whole
Art thing.
art thing.
Yeah.
So I agree with Brian. I think people are
Okay.
finding their own way on that.
All right. Time check. Is there anything else we need to cover off, Wayne, in terms of special town meeting?
I don't think so.
We're looking forward to having it happen.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
study that book.
Yeah, take that book with you, Wayne. Don't leave it. I feel like it's like Harry Potter or something.
Yeah.
The magical.
I'm surprised it's not all dog-eared and
Yeah.
like, the colored tabs.
That's his prop book.
Jasmine did
Just feed it
chew
to
up my
AI,
first
just feed it to
my
ChatGPT
first
and say,
copy.
how can I
How
mess
can
up
I-
our meeting?
So yes, it's dog eaten.
Okay.
Dog eaten.
Very good. Thank you, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next up, Brian, you want to come up? Brian Waterson, who's the chair of the Carlisle School Committee, and are you vice chair still? Vice chair of the Regional School Committee, is here to give us an update on anti-discrimination, anti-Semitism efforts at both CPS and at the region. And I know this has been a, going back especially to the summer where there was the joint meeting between the Concord School and Regional School Committee and the Select Board. I know a lot of additional discussion and action has been taken, so if you could give us an update on where things stand on both fronts, that would be great.
Will do. Just give me a sec. I had the slides up and then I closed the screen for some reason. All right. Am I good to share my screen through Zoom?
No, but I will fix that.
Okay.
Okay, you're good.
Great. All right, well, good evening. Good to be back. And I'll go ahead and jump right in the interest of time. So obviously, just to catch everybody up to speed who maybe is tuning in tonight, who wasn't with us on the 23rd of September. So in that meeting, obviously, we talked about the goals of the school committees for both districts. We talked about what we knew about the budgets at this point. Tonight, really going to be focusing on our diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging work in both districts, specifically related to anti-hate and, of course, anti-Semitism. What I'll be doing is first talk about Carlisle, talk about some of the things that are in the works, and then talk about reporting and communicating, and then I'll do the same thing for the region. So just a little bit about work that's been ongoing in Carlisle and work that's happening now. In 2021-2022, Carlisle schools formed the DEI-CAC, which is Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Community Advisory Council. So this is a group that is both school administration, teachers, as well as parents and other members of the community. And they've really been working hand in hand, for the last 4 years or so, on a number of different initiatives as it relates to DEIB. And they are the ones that, if you've been to the school recently, you'll see the posters, Be Here, Be You, Belong. And as that group has taken formation, it's actually gotten even broader and have brought together all of the different parent advisory groups. So the PTO, which I think everyone's familiar with, DEI-CAC, CPAC, which is Special Education Parents Advisory, CEF, Carlisle Education Fund, and WBYC. And all of these groups are meeting regularly. They actually had a meeting just yesterday on initiatives that the school can be doing to focus on belonging. And just to give you some examples at a broad level, last year there was the Yellow Tulip Project, which is about stigmas and stereotypes. And if you walk through the halls, you would see teachers, as administrators, students, creating these yellow tulips, where it was a lot of I statements. It could be, I am a father, I am a traveler, I don't know, I am a Rhode Islander. And it was just very interesting to learn more about people that way. They're taking it a step further this year with a Garden of Belonging, which is an interactive bulletin board that is sort of expanding throughout the school year, showing acts of kindness, connection, and community. So these are things that have been, in the works, for a few years. DEI-CAC has also been instrumental in leading a number of listening sessions as different events have come up over the course of the years. And most recently, on the 30th of September, they had a listening session very specific to Jewish members of the Carlisle community. It was a very well-attended event. I was there, as was most of the Carlisle School Committee. I would say 40, 45 people. And, about an hour and a half of just listening to stories, listening to experiences, what it's like to be Jewish in Carlisle. For me, one of the biggest takeaways from that, and I was given permission to share this by one of the coordinators, is the Jewish families in Carlisle feel very supported with the overall, the Carlisle public schools, the way, teachers make sure to accommodate for holidays, wanting to know how to recognize holidays throughout the course of the school year. People have a lot more anxiety, I think I'll say, when it comes to the region, and coming from this, this very safe place, 600 students, pre-K to 8, where, let's face it, most teachers know your student, even if you're not in their class, and then going up to the high school, where things can be very, very different. And so that is feedback that I've, that I have passed along. Another thing that has been taking place is that the DEI-CAC, the administration from CPS, as well as the Concord Carlisle Against Anti-Semitism, have been having meetings. Those meetings started over the course of the summer after the joint Regional School Committee Concord Select Board meeting. Those conversations continue. And they're thinking about what is it that they want to do over the course of the year. A couple things that they're looking at is to do active bystander training with middle school students in Carlisle, something that's very similar to what's happening in Concord. And also looking at the multicultural festival that happens later in the year and how they might expand that to not just be country specific, but specific to cultures as well. That is happening. They're now trying to figure out how they're going to fund some of these initiatives. I had a conversation about that earlier today, but the reason for bringing this up is I just think there's a lot of work that was already happening in Carlisle, and I think this year we're seeing a lot of great work as well. The last thing I just want to talk about is the middle school students received a belonging survey at the end of last year, and the school committee saw the results of that in September. Overall, the responses were quite positive in that, generally speaking, to each question, 90% of the students were positive about, do I have a teacher who I feel connected to? Do I feel connected to my peers? But 10%, that is still 20 to 30 students. And so, that is something as well that we are mindful of, especially in middle school, which is such a challenging period. I'm now experiencing it firsthand. What we can be doing for all students. In terms of incidents of hate and reporting hate in Carlisle, on the Carlisle website, there's a lot more information, but there is a procedure as well as a form for reporting hate incidents. This was established because of the Massachusetts anti-bullying law and student anti-discrimination acts. I will say that in Carlisle, and I shared these numbers with you over the summer, fortunately we've had pretty low incidents over the years. 2021, 2022 was the highest with 4 reported incidents, then 0, 3 in 23, 24, and then last year 1. Whenever there is an incident, the investigation is led by the principal of that school, whether it's elementary or middle school. Generally speaking, the school committee is informed of these things as soon as we know about them. And incidents where, hate incidents where we're bringing the police in, so swastika graffiti, for example, that is where we will see broader communication to the public. And interestingly enough, a few years ago when I was on the school advisory council, we actually had a conversation with the principals about what degree they should communicate. The feedback then was an incident happened in the middle school bathroom. Do the elementary parents need to know? And the general consensus was yes, there's sort of segments of the school. It's one school. So generally speaking, communication goes out broadly, pre-K to 8 at this point. Do you want me to pause for questions on Carlisle, or should I run through the region and then do questions? What works best for you?
Let's pause here for questions about Carlisle. Christine, do you have
I did have a question. So you're, if I understood it correctly, there was kind of a downward trend. Is that attributed to, a few students who have since matriculated? And I will just say my older daughter was in that cohort, and they were that class, yes. And they were coming out of COVID, and there was a lot of, I feel like they were all unruly.
Yeah.
So is that what was going on? And then I think as a result of that, if I recall, we installed some cameras we voted on.
Yes.
And, is that having was there any findings or anything from
Yeah,
that?
good question. So I will say 21-22, I would call it an anomaly, just without going into too much detail. And then you do see the following year, no incidents. And then 23-24, that sort of uptake, and if you look at what the incidents were, they do align with what happened on October 7th, and the sort of, I'll just say, the tensions between Israel and Palestine, and yes, you can see you can definitely see a correlation with that year. And then last year was one incident that was reported and completely different, if memory serves. So I do think the cameras are making some impact. But the cameras were in place and there was an incident shortly thereafter. So and unfortunately, middle school students, cameras, yes, there's cameras, but middle school students seem to find a way to get around things. As I keep trying to block my 7th grader from her iPad at certain times of the day. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Thank you.
I think in the, it's hard to, in just broad statistical way, the unpredictability of small numbers. When your end set is, under 10, and single digit, 2, you can't, teasing patterns is risky. If you have hundreds, like you're the LA school system and it dropped in COVID, you can draw patterns. But I think it's a mistake to try to overanalyze. I think it's great that there's not very many and that the school is proactive about it, which is a good segue to a district very close to us where maybe not so much, right?
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but I also think despite all of these efforts and everything I talked about, even in Carlisle, it feels almost inevitable that we're going to have some kind of incident occur this year. I just think, I think some of it is students just testing the waters. They also see the reaction that they get. So funny. I'm not trying to say we need to dismiss it, but if Jim reaches out to me between now and June, I'm not going to be shocked, unfortunately. Is the honest truth.
Years past, maybe not here, but when I was growing up, it was pulling a fire alarm.
Right.
Like, what benefit is it? There's no benefit. It's a kid, testing.
Bomb
It's
threats.
fun, right? Some of it is just that, right? It's not like a deep-seated cultural hate of Jews it's just that, right?
But I think the key point, and one of the things that has been raised when you talk about the region, is making sure that when these events do happen, they are taken seriously,
yeah.
that there is transparency and communication about them, and all those things. So, I think those are all good things, and these things can always happen. It's as much about the response as it is about the actual.
Well, and there's one other thing that I think is very important to us as we continue to grapple with or consider the independence of our K-8 system. I've long believed, certainly in my time at school committee, that, and Barney may agree with this, that part of the fabric of the K-8 is that by the time those kids get to middle school, they are a very known commodity among all the teachers. They know those kids because they've seen them since they were little. And I also felt, as my kids were in middle school, that there's a little bit of burden of leadership. Like, they also know that they are expected to lead and that little kids are looking up to them. And you don't get that in most school districts where there's a nice K-5 ecosystem, and then you take multiple of those and you dump them all into some mix that nobody knows anybody, and you put 11-year-olds with 14-year-olds. There's a huge difference in that. We don't have that, and I believe, despite any other things, that K-8 system is really, really good.
It
And
is.
hope we keep it.
Brian,
Go
a
ahead.
question, just, and I know this is all focused on both the Carlisle Public School and the high school, but did you get any sense, or did anything come up in the discussion, the listening sessions, about what we're like as a community in terms of inclusion, and or did anything come up around feeling like they were discriminated against or based on their religion or culture in some way? Did any of that come out?
So my takeaway from this, and I see that there are plenty of people on Zoom who participated, so I'm happy to be corrected.
Yeah,
but
I don't know if I'll let people
my
comment.
feeling is just that overall people felt supported as a community. I remember some of them there was a quip that they were also surprised at just how extensive the Jewish community actually is in Carlisle, which I just thought was a interesting anecdote listening in.
Does anyone online, specifically around Carlisle, we're going to talk about Concord in a moment, but does anyone who participated in any of those listening sessions or have a general comment at this point want to chime in? Just raise your hand. Okay. Thank you.
I'll continue on then in the interest of time. So I want to talk a little bit about the work that is happening at the high school. So Dr. Hunter this year, in her goals, one of them is, and I'll just read it, in conjunction with the DEIB director, which is a staff position for Concord and Concord Carlisle, further the work in anti-racist and equity practices to create an environment that is inclusive, equitable, and fosters belonging of all students, staff, and families, including support for LGBTQ community members and a plan to combat anti-Semitism. And on the right-hand side of the screen, I have a link to the plan, which when I send the slides tonight, you'll all have access to. But the plan is really focused on 5 pillars: professional development, student learning, culture, fiscal resources, and community. And this is actually a plan that is now being shared with other superintendents in the Commonwealth to support them in their efforts.
It's a plan developed by CC.
Yes, a plan developed by CC. One of the things that we've heard since the complaint was filed in the spring, while this was filed against CC, these are issues that a lot of districts within the Commonwealth are experiencing, and so there is collaboration at the superintendent level. There's also starting to be collaboration even at the school committee level as well, which I'll talk about in a moment.
Committees from other districts, you mean?
Yeah, we have a chairs roundtable, so I don't know if that existed before.
We did, yeah, we had.
Yeah.
Well, it
it
was
just-
in a defunct organization,
But yeah, just understanding what other districts are doing.
right.
What I have on my screen here is the work that's already happened this academic year against the plan as it relates to Concord Carlisle. But I think it's also important to note that this plan is also being applied to Concord, because obviously this work needs to start in elementary school, both in Concord and Carlisle, so that we can be successful once we get to the high school. So for example, where the CCHS staff are receiving their first of 2 sessions related to anti-Semitism training in early December. That same training is happening at Concord Middle School in November. It already happened in the elementary schools in October.
And is that, Brian, is that curricula similar to the one you're doing here? I mean, is there an equivalent to what Carlisle is doing at that same age group?
So this is training that the staff, the
Okay.
teachers are receiving.
Yeah.
We are not currently doing any training that I'm aware of
Because
in
people
Carlisle.
already, the awareness is already pretty high, or?
It's something that I think we could probably continue to talk about with Jim, but we
There's
didn't
not
feel
a
that there was a
formal-
need at this point.
There's not a formal collaboration in the K through 8, the 2 K through 8 systems.
On this initiative, no. So student learning, CC will have student panels where students have an opportunity to talk about what it's like to be fill in the blank. And for the first time, there'll be a Jewish student on that panel this fall. Surveys that the school's sending out previously have never had a religious identifier. So we historically can't slice and dice data for things like belonging on the grounds of religion. That is now being added into surveys that we had to ask the students. There's now a Jewish student union that was formed, and they will be recognized at our November school committee meeting, the first Wednesday of the month. The region was awarded $35,000 by DESE as a grant to support some of these initiatives, especially the training. Concord was also awarded the same amount, and I will be speaking to Jim O'Shea about whether we should be looking at grant money in Carlisle as well. Dr. Hunter continues to meet with the Concord Carlisle Against Anti-Semitism group, and there's a meeting next week, as well as ongoing conversations with the local Jewish leaders and the Concord DEI Commission. And the district is also having its first anti-Semitism coalition meeting in November. So there is a lot going on at the region as well. Just in terms of reporting, this image that I have on my screen, the Bias Incident Response Protocol, is in all the classroom. There's a poster of it in all of the classrooms. At this point, it's a small number of incidents that do get reported. And again, there's probably under reporting at the high school. And the challenge, as things are reported is, of course, what is conflict versus bias, and also how do we make some of these things known while also protecting student privacy. So when there is a incident that is reported, the principal at the school, or one of the principals, the co-principals, will investigate. The chair of the regional school committee is always advised of these incidents in real time. The full school committee, generally speaking, is not notified of incidents unless it's something where the police will need to be involved, or if obviously before Dr. Hunter is going to make any kind of statement, then the full at that point is when the full school committee is notified. And also continuing to just, as I said, talk to other districts in terms of what are they doing in terms of notification. When do you notify just the school versus the full parent community versus the community at large? And I think that's going to continue to be a work in progress this year. I think what you've seen at the high school already is probably going to the end of communicating a lot. There was an incident during freshman orientation. There was an incident during Kicks for Cancer, and Dr. Hunter was very proactive in her communication, and I think you'll continue to see that for the time being. So that's what I have for the region as well. So happy to take any questions at this point.
So you said in the Carlisle school, we had, a few incidents, and then one incident, we had these years of very low activity. What's that pattern look like at the region?
So at the region, it's small ups and downs. The highest number over the last few years is still less than 10.
This is
incidents.
over the course of an academic year?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
I
and
think
keep
that-
in mind that the school population, it's
bigger.
double the size.
Yeah, no, 10's pretty small, right.
Yeah.
I'm going back to the joint meeting where there was a lot of discussion and a lot of input from the community. What surprised me was the amount of concern and frustration about incidents or behaviors not being reported or not being handled properly in the Concord School District. And so there was a level of distrust, I think, among the community about how these things are being recognized and handled, which don't hit the statistics because they're not reported.
Although the training and the awareness would presumably.
What's the tenor of the community conversation now? Are people feeling like progress is the right steps are being taken at the region? Obviously, people want to see action and they want to see tangible action. Is your sense, is the feedback positive on some of these initiatives? Obviously, there's more work to do, but is
Yeah.
it trending in the correct direction?
I think for me, it's very hard to answer that accurately. And the reason being is at the region, when we're receiving emails, when we have public comment, the people that we're hearing from, on the whole, do not actually have students in the school. And so for me, as some, especially I do not have anybody in the school yet, it's really hard for me to gauge what is reality in Concord right now. We did have one meeting where there were quite a few parents who came who spoke very positively about the school experience, but that was one meeting, and then we continue to hear this other messaging from people who don't have students enrolled anymore.
And are they talking about things that happened when their children were enrolled? Or are they talking, what
The message that I think the overarching theme is they feel that there has been a change in quality since when their students were enrolled.
Change in quality, what does that mean?
That they feel that, and I'm paraphrasing, but that the school was at a more responsive,
They were
more collaborative with the community, and they feel
Back
that
in the day?
Back
In
the-
general, or specifically related to anti-discrimination?
I think in general.
Yeah, that's maybe some broader cultural comment, right? I think that when you really get to root cause, you have to, any community that has to look at itself, its parents have to look at their own messaging. There's much deeper things going on that you can't really legislate from the school side. But I think it's encouraging, right now, this is maybe not the best analogy, but there's a lot being made in the press right now about the increase in autism. Is it increase in autism, or did we just get a lot more sophisticated about identifying autism, right? So if we're upping our radar on incidents, and to your point, reporting more, and yet the population of incidents is pretty low and constant, then, just those two pieces, they may not be related, but if they are related, that's a pretty good fact. That means the actual number of incidents is being reported, and it's still pretty low, which means there's some addressing of the root problem. And, that's positive, right? So
But
it sounds to me like that's a pretty good.
it sounds like the incidents are not being reported, right?
Well, maybe
From
they
the
are. This
conversation
was
you
a
were in,
whole-
or?
I was just recounting feedback I heard from
Mhm.
people in the Concord community.
But they were saying from prior years, right?
Yeah, I don't want
Well,
to.
anyway, who knows? A year from now, we can take another look, right? But
Mhm.
it does sound like the administration is taking it seriously, and that they're leading, because other school systems are looking at
Yes.
that. And, as you said, it's a larger school system. It's also a larger community.
It is.
It has a much wider socioeconomic path.
Yeah.
And, we're a little bubble, and we're lucky, that's great, but, it's easier to manage that bubble.
Yeah. Yeah,
Brian,
and I just want to, sort of a concluding thought on that. I spend a lot of time each week, in conversations with Jim and with Lori, and, I think, have mistakes been made over the years in both districts?
Yeah.
Yes. Have we learned? Yes. And do I think we're going to be as strong as we can be this year? Definitely. So, I think the message from the broader Concord Carlisle community has definitely reached both of them, and this is an area of focus for both of them this year.
When you do the survey, the student survey again, when do you do that? When does that happen?
So that was done in the spring.
Yeah, and
and
you'll
I
do it
should
again?
note, and that will be an annual thing. And we actually have one open right now for parents, a belonging survey for parents
Yeah.
who have students at Carlisle Public as well.
And the one in the spring that the students will answer, and I know you said they're adding religion on it if you if you want to choose to indicate that. Are there there'll be specific questions about their experience then as a religious or this from your particular culture or religion? Have you
Yeah, so both
been
districts
discriminated against, or?
offer some form of survey just about belonging, and do you feel like, do you belong? I don't know for sure if either district is adding questions specific to what you're saying, Barney, but
Mhm.
the tricky thing before was that we never asked religion. So then, do students feel like they belong? We could segment it in so many different ways, but that was not one way historically. And, there was sort of is this something even appropriate to ask? We now
Yeah.
feel it is appropriate to ask.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to open it up to any community.
One more question, then, Brian. Just not really specifically related, but Jim is now the middle school principal also.
He is the middle school principal, yes. And he will be for the remainder of this year.
How's he liking that?
I think he is enjoying rolling up his sleeves, but he is very busy at the moment.
Okay. I want to offer the opportunity for some brief comment from anyone online about what we're talking about. I think from our standpoint, I know as the liaison to the schools, I continue to check in with Brian on this, and so this is the first check-in. This is something I think that's all on our radar and that we'll continue to pay attention to, both from the school standpoint and the town standpoint. So I appreciate the update.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time.
Of course. No, thank you, and have a good rest of the
We'll
evening.
see you next week at the budget discussion.
On to the next thing, yes. Thank you.
All right,
Yeah,
thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, let's move on to the Maple Street no parking signs. I'm going to guess you're here for that.
Well, I'm here to answer any questions if there's hesitation by the board to accept this safety committee's recommendation.
Okay, and so we do have a recommendation from the Safety Committee on this. I don't have it printed out.
Good.
But they were recommending, let's see,
Yeah, well, there's a
Signs
motion
along
in
Maple
here.
they like the recommendation to the select board to place no parking signs in a few locations in the area. It was approved unanimously and was to propose to the select board to use the leftover signs from the 250th anniversary
I like
Love
that.
it.
to place along the S curve along Maple
Recycling.
Street
Yes.
in conversations with Sue. So that was the letter from,
Who's here tonight?
yeah,
Yes,
who is the letter, that's from Laura Harrison,
Laura
of the
Harrison.
Safety Committee.
yeah.
And so is there any discussion on this? Does anyone have any questions? I feel like we should ask a question. You've come all this way.
Well, you can
Well,
also-
I'll offer to you that I made.
Could you just say your name, please?
Oh,
Yeah.
Sue Pietropalo, 110 Maple Street,
Thank you.
and I live right at the base of the S curve for almost 30 years now. And we've been a little overdue in having some signs. The traffic's pretty heavy.
Yep.
And we do have a lot of, not only just traffic from bikers and walkers and just commuting traffic, we also have people pull over on their cell phones.
Mhm.
And I created a small neighborhood petition, and 100% of the people I spoke to was like, oh my goodness, thank you. Everybody was very enthusiastic about just putting something up there that is just
A
very
deterrent,
concrete,
yeah.
that this is not a safe place to park.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Does someone want to make a motion? It's in the,
Sure. I would like to move that we approve the plan as presented in the packet to place, quote, "no parking signs" along Maple Street, and authorize the DPW director to utilize discretion in adjustments to the plan to better enhance safety.
Second.
any further discussion or deliberation?
The motion's very broad. Sue's indicating there's certain specific areas, so we
I've
leave it
seen
to the discretion of DPW.
I've seen it firsthand, the S curve, and it's.
So it's pretty
yeah,
obvious. Okay.
It's obvious.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you for
Thanks for coming out,
And
yeah.
all on Maple Street appreciate, and Davis Road appreciate it. Thank you.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks for your advocacy.
All right, now we're ahead of schedule. All right, we're going to move on to the next agenda item, which is to discuss the November 2nd special town meeting warrant article positions and updates. And the first one on the docket was MBTA communities. And so we were discussing this a little bit earlier. So last night, the planning board narrowed the site selection down to 2 sites for town meeting. We talked to Wayne about that. As a select board, we've previously taken a position on the article to recommend the article without making a recommendation on a specific site. So we've taken that position. It's in the warrant book. Is there anything else we as a select board need to discuss regarding MBTA tonight?
I mean, I think now that it is crystallized, I think we all agreed in prior sessions that we are on the side of compliance, so
Mhm.
that's clear. As I mentioned earlier, the choice of sites is one that might get built and one that probably won't get built. And if any of us feel strongly that one way or the other, like that I know the Affordable Housing Trust is gonna meet again, because I'm part of it, they, felt that they ought to support the one that was most likely to be built. Because that's their mission, right? So, I mean, there is room for us to side in that nuance, or we could just stick with compliance is good and let the town decide. I mean, those are the
And
choices.
the one you think is more likely to
Well, the
be-
one I think is less, I don't really
Less
know enough
likely.
about Woodward, but I'm pretty sure, based on what I'm reading, that the Archdiocese is not particularly interested in
See,
the mission of MBT.
I would feel otherwise, David, so.
You think the other way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they
Well,
are
if somebody
Yeah,
came
because-
along with a lot of money, offered the Archdiocese a lot of money.
Archdiocese is, could be looking at some point, or they could internally decide they want to do this to provide housing to seniors.
Well, they want housing for seniors, but that doesn't fit MBTA, right?
Well, right, they could self-limit it, but we are zoning.
No, I know, that was what was
irrespective
pointed out
of-
yesterday.
There's no age,
No, but it won't meet, I mean, yeah, I guess so, I guess.
The other-
I mean,
the other-
anybody, you could have an in-law apartment, that doesn't mean we're meeting MBTA.
The other site is fully built out, or not fully, but it is,
Yeah,
unlikely that multiple $1 million owners
right, are gonna
are
want,
gonna wanna do that. So, again, I
That's a
think
fair
there's
statement.
there's a lot of questions
and we
on
can't
both
handicap
sides.
those.
I would advocate that we don't, unless you have a strong opinion.
I
you
certainly
could-
do not, no, I just vote for
I
compliance.
would suggest if Christine is gonna write, or you're gonna prepare a statement and read it relative to our support of the, supporting the MBTA bylaw rather than not, you may wanna put together some information on, what impact it will have. I guess the finance committee may have already done this, but the
Yeah.
cost of noncompliance. And we had in our packet, last year, a letter that, was, and I think it's worthwhile because it was a tangible example, that I think it was the hoses for the fire station, that we received a grant from the state for the hoses, and it was, 30,000 or something, I don't know if you remember this, but, and it said at the bottom of it, it's from the state, it said, congratulations, you've been awarded this award. If you are non-compliant with the MBTA bylaw,
Can we repo the hoses?
well,
Yes.
that they won't, and so.
We were seeing the same thing at the library too.
Yes.
And ineligible, there's no state funding in the library
And
renovation.
I think, it might be
Yeah, yeah.
effective to
So I-
cite that or read that or.
Right, right. I did look up on the state website how much they think they give Carlisle, and they say that they give 5.5% of our budget. I sent that website along to James Gattaccio. He said, "Thank you for your support of national defense," and they will do with it what they will. And so I can include that. I mean, it is a fact. I'm kidding. That's a generic statement
Oh, okay.
of "Thank you very much.
Oh, okay.
You can stand down now."
Oh, I see.
Ryan gets it. Anyway,
Thought they were gonna repurpose it to pay the troops.
no, sorry. Anyway, the comment is basically the state thinks that they supply 5.5% of Carlisle's budget.
Is that true?
If you include state aid,
Like
which has not
chapter,
been discussed.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Yeah,
it's
and
not, that's
there's
not the amount that
no-
would get clawed back.
Right. There's
Right.
no. They've been, I think,
Right.
purposely cagey as to how
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
what the impacts would be.
Yeah.
Tom Harrington, I ran into him at some planning board meeting, and he said that he'd like to take a few moments to say, it's not even the state aid and 5.5%. He said there's the risk of a lawsuit. There's, but even that, who knows if Maura Healy's up.
Well,
for
you
the
could have that
election.
the other way
Right.
too, right? I mean, let's take your, the most now that West Street is off the table, which again took the air out of, like, 75% of the people were all wound up about the idea that we would have apartment buildings on West Street, I think, is like the main thing. So now that that's off the table, what I observed yesterday in the public comment time was maybe the beginnings of some organized opposition to St. Irene's because of the busyness of that area. It's across from Carlisle Kids House, and the kids are walking to school, and I mean, all these things are coming out. So let's say we zone, I guess that's a Harrington question. Like, we zone, and then they, to your point, they say, sure, I'm gonna sell and develop, and somebody has the right to develop that because it's zoned that way. Are we, I mean, we did what the state told us to do, right? We don't have a liability in that, I don't think, right?
No.
No,
Right,
you
okay.
just have to sound for it.
So I,
But that's that is the possibility.
That is the
They sell
possibility.
the land, and once you sell the land,
Right.
the developer can.
says, I'm gonna do this, and then people go, oh, but what about the kids in the bus, and blah, blah, blah. And then there's some other thing that goes on. So I just, maybe you should check in with Tom, if whatever we write, I don't wanna, we should be conscious that there may be battles down. We should just say, like,
the-
we believe in complying,
Yeah.
and the cost of not complying is expensive to Carlisle, and anyway, it's the law. I mean, I would keep it pretty straightforward.
I just had worried a little bit about, because we're all supportive of compliance, that somebody gets up and says, you know, and makes an impassioned plea that somehow sways people at town meeting to say, maybe we should stick it to the state or whatever. And I think that, you know, as a board, we are unified and should remain that way.
Always not a
Like-
good answer.
Like.
No
that
doesn't
is
help
not-
us.
That is not a good strategy.
There's
in
two
this
bad
situation.
outcomes to, well, there's three bad outcomes to know. One is, the state gave you a mandate, whether you like it or not. We're a rules-based culture, right? Second is, it would cost money if we don't comply, all the fire hose story. And the third is, if we try to scramble to comply, there's a whole bunch of work we have to do, and we have like 6 weeks to do it, or whatever, right? I mean, it's like not.
Right.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
The other risk, I think, is that somebody proposes alternative sites that are
Mhm.
not, and that's what may come up as well.
Yeah.
That
Makes
On the
them
not
fly,
satisfied.
like that.
Offer
They're
us
not
an
satisfied.
amendment? Or-
No,
they
he's not
can't-
gonna,
they
They
can't
can't
do
do
will
an
not entertain.
amendment,
No,
right?
no,
How
we-
would they offer an alternative site and that be allowed?
What I've heard, and I don't know if I'm interpreting it correctly, is people, we want to comply, but we want the none of the above option, meaning,
Yeah.
we're not going to comply, but we want to comply not with these sites, so go back and find new sites.
Right.
Right?
Uh-huh. But
That
that's
to-
not gonna be a choice.
But there's no,
No.
the deadline is the end of the year, right?
Right.
To pick a
Mm-hmm.
site to zone, do I have that correct?
Yeah.
By the end of the year, the town has to have authorized
Correct.
You
one
will-
or more zones that are buildable.
You have to pass the
for that.
bylaw that's
Right.
compliant.
And so even though, say, Woodward, whatever, they'll never build 95 of them.
It doesn't.
But if
matter.
it's zoned that someone could, then you take that.
If it checks the boxes for the AG and the compliance model.
Right, right.
And other towns have taken this approach. So the town of Boxborough has zoned over a condominium complex where
You'd have to
you'd
tear
have
down
to
the
have
condos.
you'd have to have every condo owner, agree and then tear it down, but it's already so dense that it's
Yeah.
unlikely that
Okay,
that would
so
ever
they've-
happen.
So the state got what it,
This-
deserves by being idiots.
I mean,
yeah.
that's the other thing that's so frustrating about it, but that,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
we don't have.
So I think, anyway, I guess I think my point would be, keep the statement short and sweet,
Yep.
and we should just say, yeah, we
And-
follow.
And I would also say that
Do you have,
if any of
Ben
the things that
Wilkerson?
Travis is talking about occur and people are sort of, getting the
Yeah.
crowd revved up to, yeah, let's stick it to the state, is that I think one of us or a number of us, right, need to
Can you check
go down to the
the-
floor
I
and
think the
speak
chair, that's a good job for
to
the chair.
why, no, but I think,
All of us.
yeah, we
All of
need
us,
to, unlike
I think should
the way we were
prepare to
so
do
quiet
that.
last
Okay,
time around.
yeah.
around
No,
this.
that's fair,
It
that's
didn't
fair.
go
So-
very
Say,
far.
don't
but
do
it-
that, that's a bad idea.
What?
Yeah. No, I
Don't
agree.
be quiet.
Don't vote no, that's a bad
Yeah, we
idea.
need to speak up if it's going that direction.
But I don't know that we're gonna know, so I was kind of asking him, and we were all asking a version of the same question. I guess I wanna have my antenna up for the volume of As or Bs in the opening round. if there's 600, say there's 500 people, and the vote is 100 to 150.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And I'm
not
like,
good.
there's a lot of people waiting for the second round to say
Yeah.
no. I don't know that we're gonna know, I don't know how many clues we're gonna get ahead of that actual vote, but I understand.
Find out.
Let it play out, but I just want to be prepared, unlike the last time I think I was too quiet in
Yeah,
the
no, we were,
response
right.
to the TA.
I agree with, I agree.
Yeah, I
We should be we should be strong in our support.
My sense is that people have been very earnest in this. In fact, if anything,
Yeah.
they are looking ahead to what happens when we build blah blah blah. You know, they're wanting to.
Right.
I don't know that they're embracing the spirit of the law. They're saying
Yeah.
these new housing is needed. Then if we build it here, blah blah blah. And it's like people genuinely always forget it really is just zoning.
Right.
So I don't think we're going to get a whole lot of
Yeah, okay. let's
rabble
hope.
rousers
Yeah.
saying no, no, no.
Rabble-rousers.
I don't know what other word. I'm full
Okay,
of sayings
I'm
tonight,
good.
apparently.
Good. Hey, we're gonna get out of here.
All right, I want to move on to, let's do demolition review next, because I see Ben is online. Ben and Chrissy are both there. And I invited them to come tonight. Obviously, they took a vote yesterday to not bring forward this bylaw to special town meeting. So I want to afford them the opportunity to speak to that. I also provided you with a letter that they have drafted for the Mosquito that should be appearing in the Mosquito this week. So with that, Ben and Chrissy, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Scott.
Great. Thank you. Chrissy, do you want to say a few words, or you want me to go?
Yeah, I think, we just wanted to, first of all, say thank you to the select board. I know that you have given us a lot of time and consideration on this bylaw over the past 9 months. So we appreciate that feedback. And we appreciate the feedback that we have been getting from the other boards and committees. And also from all of the residents who filled out the survey and participated in our open houses. I think all of those factors went into our decision. And when we took our vote yesterday as a commission and decided that we would hold the bylaw from the fall town meeting.
With the anticipation that we are going to continue to work on this and improve it and work with the town to develop it for a future town meeting.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Is there anything else? I mean, I think, one thought I had, just in hearing some of the feedback you're getting at this late hour from different groups, is to really think about, and again, we kind of laugh at how many committees and subcommittees are formed in this town, but actually looking at creating a committee that brings in some different viewpoints at this stage that can work with the bylaw going forward, and making sure that we have the building commissioner and different people that have voiced some concerns about it involved in the process going forward. I think that
You mean actually naming them the committee as?
or something, yeah. Just I think ensuring that the process is building that feedback in, I think could be helpful.
Maybe. I mean, I think, Chrissy, I think, I've been critical, I would say, of that there are a lot of unanswered questions and they weren't ready, which Ben and Chrissy, not because of me necessarily, but I think that's the message that they got. Yep. So I guess it's a question for your committee or your commission. Is this would this be your top strategic thing? And if it is, then there's enough people there. It's like gathering data from comparable towns. There's just more work to be done. I'm not sure you need another committee to do it. It just needs, they're committed volunteers, which is great. Like, you want that, right? You want people who passionately believe in something to go do the hard work to make sure it's a good bill. And if you need help, then draft somebody else. I mean, are you fully staffed as a commission, or do you have openings?
We do have some open seats at the moment, David.
Might spend a little time sort of publicizing that, try to get some more volunteers who, also believe in the mission, and maybe you can get some more people to help you, because there's a fair amount of work to do if you want to do all those things, like gather data from comparable towns, do a survey of some of the property, you know, I mean, there's a bunch of things you could do to say, okay, these are the tweaks I need to make, but it's work, and but handing it off to another group, I'm not sure that's good.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you both, appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Fire station, which is now going first, so
Yeah.
I get to give the presentation as everyone's shuffling in. So, a couple of things. One, the guideline is 10-minute presentation, so it's going to be very quick.
Is Tecton giving it, or?
I'm planning on giving it with the chief. I'm going
Okay.
to talk to Tecton, and I'm assuming Matt's going to be there to answer
Yeah.
questions, but it's a brief amount of time to have. I think it's important to have someone from the select board involved, the chief certainly, and I just think after that, it's 3 people's too many for a 10-minute presentation. But certainly, having them there to answer questions is important.
You have a video that you're gonna play, or do we have a schematic that, I know we have the schematic
I'm not
already,
gonna,
but-
so right now, they're working on a new floor layout that's more of a friendly for town meeting that just shows like the hot and cold zones. I don't plan on showing a 3D modeled video going through the station. I don't know what,
I only know that because the library did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you
And a
know,
video that showed what it would look like.
Yeah.
You're saying the fire station's gonna do that too? Tecton's.
well, I know.
No.
They
I
already
They're
have
not.
it, right?
I don't know that they have a
Oh.
walkthrough 3D
Not a
video.
3D model, the
Oh, they
way
don't.
the library did. He's just gonna show a top-down.
Yeah, like a
in
version
the-
of the
in the
layout with
vision.
like the decon zones and just talk through, tie the plan. I have a draft presentation, but it's essentially, articulate the goals, some of the reasons behind the goals, tie the conceptual designs to the goals, so health and safety, retain and recruit, on-call, the importance of on-call. Do all that, which is probably 7 to 8 minutes, and then the tail end, get into the, briefly, and this is why I was asking if FinCom can use some of the time to, if they want to elaborate on some of the financials, talk about the cost. And that's where it gets a little complicated in a very short amount of time. You don't want to overcomplicate the story. But what I'm planning on doing is essentially saying, first of all, being clear what's being asked for at town meeting. It's the 1.4. It's not the whole project, it's the 1.4. Talk about the cost estimate, and then show
The full cost estimate.
the full cost estimate.
Yeah.
Show what that looks like for the full project over the life of the project, the 30 years. Again, this has to be done very quickly, and I don't want to get sidetracked. And I also want to call back to essentially this public safety building initiative in town, which includes police, fire, and DPW. So first showing the fire station in isolation, speaking to that briefly, and then showing people, these are the other things we have going on. Police is underway, fire we're talking about tonight, and we're gonna be back to talk to you about DPW. And showing what that looks like.
So what that looks like in total dollars to the town?
That's, it's a difficult thing to do in like 2 minutes. I don't want to get distracted with all these other things, but I think it's important
Well,
to
Wayne
show.
will give you more minutes.
Yeah.
I don't think if it's the only presentation,
But I think what Scott's saying is you don't want to weigh it down.
well, right, but
That's-
I don't want to get into a discussion about the DPW project
Yeah.
and all the specifics around that. What I can show is the curve of all these buildings combined, the
Right,
stat
that's
chart
right,
that
right.
says, in 20, and I could put
You
it up
want to
now.
put it up? Yeah.
Can you allow me to share my screen? And I'm still waiting for, you're going to have some updated numbers, correct?
I have a few moments from.
Okay. Yeah, maybe, well, anyway.
I think a curve is a better visual than numbers.
So,
Right.
essentially,
So blue is what, the police station?
police,
Police, then fire, then DPW?
yeah, hold on, let me just get this to work better.
I mean, if you were to layer it, can you do it where you put the first line? Like, last year we authorized the police station. It's
So this is,
exactly
this is
there.
police, this
Right.
is authorized, 4.2
And those
million.
numbers, like that 246, what is that, like, what is that? Is that two?
That's the annual debt payment in 2041.
Okay, so you may want to just put an arrow to that.
No, there will be an
Okay.
arrow, don't worry, Dave.
And, all right, so what you're saying is, that's dead end principal.
Total,
That's like a mortgage payment,
Yep,
total debt, yep.
total debt.
total debt.
And that's what's on the books now, right? Like, that's a project that's been
So, all right,
approved.
so I mean, that's a visual, then you say, okay, now we add the fire station, everybody goes, you know, like that.
Well, and we'll already have covered the fire station. I'm gonna do the fire station separately,
Yep,
showing that and the average annual tax impact.
okay,
right?
so you already have that, so that means,
Yes.
I'm sitting there and I'm saying, okay, this is gonna cost me $600 next year.
Average taxpayer in 2029.
And then when I'm ready to move out.
And again, he has updated
$470,
numbers.
And then my kids are gonna pay 302. So, I mean, people are gonna personalize. that.
Yeah,
Okay. Then you're gonna put it in context of also.
right, and this is
add that and
total
that,
debt.
And now add in the DPW. Okay, and now do you wanna put an average tax bill on that baby?
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, whoa, now you get, okay, so that graphic right there is gonna get a few people to say, man,
That's
maybe
what
we
the-
should stop at the police station,
No.
right?
potentially, I mean,
So you're saying it's an extra 1,300 a year for all three facilities as of
2030.
2030?
the average taxpayer.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right.
But per year.
Per year, yeah.
A year, well, yeah.
$100 a month for
Declining,
any
well, 13 a year, per year.
Yeah.
If you add in what it amounts to, in this case, $35 million in building
Yeah,
projects.
but it's a lot, that's a lot.
You should-
Once you cross that
No, I know.
three-figure mark, that's.
At least with the first two, the police and the fire, you should also show maybe, my off-the-cuff suggestion would be, also, this is what it would look like if we don't do it, and this is the budget impact of having a full-time.
Right.
I'm gonna hit that point before I get to this.
Okay.
So I'm gonna plant the seed of the extra $2 million a year.
Well.
And we could show it on there.
Compare to that and say, hey, you know,
The- So it's,
It's hard, I'm not sure you wanna do that.
I don't,
what? Show anything?
No, threatening is not a great tactic.
so, but, okay, so the macro story is,
If you don't do it.
showing the downside.
and we're gonna be, the problem is, we're
Well,
gonna be
speaking-
back in front of people potentially in May, asking for funding for a DPW design and,
And more for the
So-
fire station, yeah.
I think we've said it, we've all said it. I mean, we have to be transparent, and there are, I think it's fair to say, as you said earlier, Scott, the safety initiative is three-pronged.
yeah.
Right. And, I mean, you may even, again, I would ask Wayne for more time. An argument that I might make is, what is important to us as a town? What are the things that make us a town? We had a survey a few years ago, right? Open space, clearly, right? Sense of community, good schools, health and safety, right? People want to live in a place where they feel safe. That means protected from crime, protected from fire, protected, you know.
Roads plowed.
That's the
Streets-
cost
right,
of
streets cleared.
living in a
Yeah.
town where things work. And just, you know, that's why you're here. And, you know, I mean, frame it in like some
Yeah.
larger thematic terms before you dive in. And then you can circle back to it at the end and say, you know, I told you at the beginning, like, this is one of the pillars. Open space is sort of, I mean, well, you could even draw and say, we're here today, in fact, because there's a very big battle going on about the use of open space and whether we should have more houses, right? That's a thing that goes right to the core of what it is to be Carlisle. And there was a lot of debate, and there will be a lot of debate, about whether we should use some open space to build houses. That's a piece of being Carlisle. This is a piece of being, I mean, make it like a mission,
Yeah.
right? And then maybe the pill of the $1,000 isn't so bad. You should show it. It's gonna cost money.
Yeah.
There's no way
I
around
think-
it.
I think it's fair for
But
people to
it's
see
a,
that.
so critical. It's such a critical piece of what it is to be Carlisle.
And I think and I don't think we go there now, but I think one of, and this is another thing we'll talk about tonight, is following town meeting, we want to have a select board
Like-
separate meeting on
Hanging around.
budget initiatives for fiscal '27. I do think, and whether we say this in the meeting or not, knowing this is in front of us
Yeah,
is going to shape some of our requirements and initiatives about how we approach the budget in terms of operating budget, capital budget,
Right,
and taking on new projects.
yeah.
yep.
I don't know how much we want to get into that at this meeting, but I think the message is, this is adding a lot.
Yeah.
We know that, and we can't say here, we're gonna offset everything and find different ways to make this not
yeah,
cost something.
right.
But we're going to be mindful and more mindful about what we take on in the future. And more to come on that, but it's gonna be driving decisions going
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah,
Because I don't want to feel like we feel like we can just take this and dump it on top of everything else and then just go on our merry way.
What
It's-
what was the thumbnail cost of the DPW that you used to drive that chart?
15 million.
That's about right.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
That's the number. I don't have any other credible number to offer. But hey, we're only asking for 1.4 today.
and your chart staggers when the fire station hits and then the DPW, right? Are they
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
year?
it
or 2
staggers it,
years
but the
apart?
stagger's not very,
It's a year.
It's not, it's just a year.
I mean,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
that's up to you. But the 15 million goes up.
right,
Wait.
if you
Yeah.
wait,
go,
When you talk about your
Right.
downside,
yeah.
add that in.
well, and I wonder if, Ryan, if I were to look at right now a debt curve for like today, without those three projects, it's pretty low, right?
I have it, if you want to see it.
I'd like to see it, yeah.
So Scott and I debated a lot about this, because
Yeah.
debt is a whole,
Well,
Class.
the point that I'm hoping comes out is, there was a time about a decade or more ago where we confronted two school buildings.
Mm-hmm.
We took them on within, I don't know, a couple years of each other. But now it's not so bad.
It's a good thing we did the schools when we did them.
No
Yes.
kidding. Ooh.
We were up in
MBT.
Neshoba Regional, and what's that, 240 million for
And
their?
it's crazy. And I remember when we were doing that Newton North or one of the Newtons was 100 million. Like
Yeah,
it
and
crossed
we were
100 million. I was
like, yes.
like, how can that be 100
Yes,
million? And now 100
yes.
million is like nothing.
240 million for the Neshoba Regional.
All right,
Wow.
so
Wow.
where's our,
so let me cut through some
Yeah.
of this noise. So this is each project's amortized
Right.
to certain variables.
yeah,
That's close.
So this is what's being proposed to be added if you did everything.
right.
The three,
This is the current, all
This is our
right.
current debt load.
Right, so I mean, I
current debt, and then the total, what the total would be. if
mean,
you-
that's also
Yeah.
another, that's a slippery argument, but there's an argument in there that says, we've been really, really careful to take on debt. We haven't taken on a lot of debt. We built two schools whatever the years, 15 years ago. And we've been pretty judicious about sticking to that. And now's another time where things are all coming to a head at the same time. And then, to your point, Scott, we'll be judicious again and kind of take a pause. We pick, once a decade, we're picking some pretty important thing to do. And in between that, we're trying to be really disciplined.
This is the safety decade.
This is the safety decade.
It's a generational fix.
It is a
So the gray area,
Yeah.
not to add another complication, is when your retirement assessments and your OPEB.
Oh, don't go there.
But
All gonna be free.
that would be the next generation.
Yeah, actually, I don't quite agree. I think having looked at all those actuarial curves and the way we were doing it, that won't be. I don't think we're gonna face a way. We'll be well prepared.
Mutter, mutter, mutter.
So the
No,
point,
it-
Your
the
voice
point,
is
It's this
lowering,
false,
so
it's this false pot of gold.
Yeah.
but the point of looking at that part is the town, if you're gonna take on these projects, you really need to look at 10 years from now, how you're going to manage your debt and handcuff yourself, because you did that with the schools, but now the high school is eating up all of your debt savings. So if you remember, they're like, there's a big assessment coming, but don't worry, your debt's coming down. Well, that was part of this equation and was on a spreadsheet like this once. So if you can prove that you have some fiscal foresight with capital planning, and it's not an accident we've been doing all these things.
Yeah, I think we're starting to overlayer.
No, that's too much.
Yeah, that's too much.
right.
I think if you had a
I
curve.
think you just say we're gonna be, we've been judicious, we will be judicious.
Here's what I would prepare just for you and Scott to look at. A curve that, when was the school project, 2007 or?
It's before the recession, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in there. If you look at a curve that was then to now, like, look at that 20-year period, from that spike up and what happened in the intervening, 18 years or 15 years, and then the rest of it, and show that we did in fact just stop and we kind of brought the curve down. And then you can overlay the new one and say, okay, it's a needle to thread. I don't know whether it'll be worth doing, but that's a piece of data. And then also, maybe you could have it in the back pocket if in the subsequent debate, people step up to the mic and like, well, how can I trust you and blah, 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 and everything, they're gonna throw whatever they say. It'd be a nice curve to say, hey, look, we said this like 20 years ago and this is what happened.
Yeah.
And we'll do the same.
So it isn't 15 million versus 0 for the DPW. It's 15 million versus some fix, some cost.
Right.
Because the DPW is not gonna survive.
Right.
So you do have to fix it at some point.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the fire, either. you
Yeah,
let
the
it crumble
risk
and-
of, sure, and speak to that, and speak to the on-call.
Yeah.
But the risk is if you show a, skinflint Yankee, a $8 million fix, like, okay, I like that. Give me the $8 million fix, thank you, right?
Yeah.
But these will look like an $8 million fix 10 years from now.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree, but we're asking for people to commit now to.
Right, but to your point, this isn't the option between this and nothing.
Right.
We're gonna have.
Nothing is not an option.
Nothing is not an option,
Kinda
like
the
every other.
MBTA, right? Yeah, right.
I think you need to, this is my recommendation to this board, is you need to describe your process with the fire station.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at every turn, it was, we're gonna make this as cheap as possible, but in those processes, you found out that you're gonna give up some significant goals that would hamstring.
Well, you've got in your run-up, in the other 7 minutes or whatever,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
talk about the
Yeah,
needs.
I'm not gonna go through all the concepts and the.
No, but-
Yes, it's
but-
gonna talk about the process and the goal, like all that.
Right, we're an on-call department.
Presentation to the MFC, I thought was excellent.
Yeah, it'll be like that with condensed background.
Right.
That goes back to, that shows we've been working on this, we've been looking
Right.
at all options.
Right.
This isn't
so-
just
right,
a,
so my advice, I agree with that, and so my advice is you open with a big vision
Yep.
thing, and you
Get the light
backstop
show.
yourself with some version, and I would be careful of my color choice too, because you picked some, like red was the one for the.
Fire.
department.
Fire and police.
No, but it's not.
I mean, it was obvious, David.
I know, but I wouldn't do
What's
that.
the color that most people,
A warm color.
relate to,
Green,
as good
beige,
feeling?
yeah, right, exactly.
Good feeling
Morning, Danger
associated
Will
with
Robinson.
yellow, or
Calming
whatever.
color.
Did you guys take any marketing in school?
no, I did, David, but at some level, ease of understanding trumps the,
Yeah, anyway.
Green is mine.
I think big picture, compelling reasons and
Yes.
some data,
yes.
right? And then just
By data, you mean financial data.
financial data,
Yes.
right? And
Simple,
then
but simple. It's
but
like, this is
simple
what's
data.
gonna cost. It's
it's gonna
not,
cost you this.
yeah.
And you know what?
And we're aware of that. We
We're
know how
aware of
much it's
that.
gonna
We're
cost.
gonna work hard
We're-
to keep your bills down,
Right.
and
Yeah,
we remain committed to making sure that we balance like the services and the cost of everything.
and this is where I want, and I expect FinCom, who also supports
Yeah,
this
right.
unanimously, to give an explanation of why they unanimously support
Yes.
spending, going down the road of a project of almost $17 million, right?
Right,
So, I want their testimonial on that as well.
right, right. And,
And MFC's on board unanimously.
Right.
And it sounds like ESC will be, so,
good, good.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think people will appreciate the directness of showing this in the context of the other things that we're spending money on. I really do.
There's no way around
And
it. I mean,
yeah, but, I mean, you could
Well,
not
yeah.
do that, right?
Yeah.
But, so I'm just saying, we haven't always been forthcoming at town meeting on some, on some spending questions. No, anyway, but I think people will appreciate that, even if they have a little sticker shock when they look at the number.
And to date, the people I've at least encountered have been very supportive of the
Right.
fire department.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah, no, I think,
But, you know, it's a lot, it's a lot of money.
Ryan, this is a ballot box question as well?
Yeah, and I have a
Yes.
thing, last slide is gonna be
So
two-thirds.
That's your bigger risk, really, I think, is there'll be, as people absorb that lesson over the week between the meeting and is it a week? The meeting
Yeah,
and the
week.
vote.
More than a week.
I think
Or
it's
others
10
who didn't
10
show
days.
up, read about it, like,
Right.
I didn't know it was gonna cost that much.
Right.
That's your risk. That's
But
the silent.
It is,
majority.
I mean, it is right, but there's no way around it. It's,
That's
I
what you
know.
have to
and
convey.
to understand the due diligence that really we've
Right.
been
I think we have to
through
explain
very-
why it's worth the expense, right? And
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
Right, but the audience, again, we certainly can't tell the mosquito what to do, but what you say will be reported, and that's, your message is really, your important message is for the people who don't go to town.
There's a letter that I wrote for this
Yeah.
week's edition that's.
Right, okay, good.
I gave a presentation at the MFC, it was
Yeah.
excellent.
Okay.
It went through the history of how we got here.
Yeah, good.
And then here's the rationale, I mean, all the things you'd expect.
Can we, I mean, I really think that people, in general, I find our neighbors very reasonable, and I think they will understand that there is no vote. The problem only gets more expensive, as we said. Can we also just, take the stance of people are probably pretty accepting, they'll do the math in their own head, what's another 5% to me? And then can we talk about what the process looks like from here on out, right? Like, we're gonna appoint a subcommittee, we're gonna,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah. Tell them how it unrolls.
Yep.
Because we don't wanna come back at spring meeting and people are like, where'd this come from?
Right.
So,
And I
yeah.
do want to make sure people are clear, they're voting for the 1.4.
Right,
They're not voting for
And then when we
$31
come
million.
back to Talk to you again in spring, it's gonna look like this, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Okay, good,
all right.
very good.
And, yeah, it's 1.4, but you need,
But, I mean, this
you gotta
vote,
commit to the
Yeah.
7.
right, if
Yes.
it passes, then it's people saying, okay, and we are investing this money and we know we're gonna have to pay more in the spring.
Yeah.
Vote for more in the spring.
Yep.
'Cause if you do
I think you have a
1.4
great,
only,
no,
it's very expensive.
What's that?
Then you've just,
1.4 only, it's very expensive.
Well, I think, and the thing with all this is, if you haven't, I mean, we've been living this for a while. The cost of all this stuff is the sticker shock is there when you hear how much,
Yes.
forget the fire state, anything, it's like, it
Right.
costs how much?
Yeah, right.
And I think that's
yeah.
something that,
Right.
we've been kind of, not boiled like the frog, but like, we've been living with it for a while, and for some people, it'll be new.
Okay.
All right. All right. And we've taken a position on the two articles, so
Yeah.
nothing more to be done there. Let's move on to alcohol. So alcohol permit applications.
Yeah, well, we could use some,
I think
huh?
you should have happy hour before town meeting.
Yeah.
Everybody's lubed up when you.
Yeah.
Bar opens when
Can-
town meeting closes.
Right.
Paid for by the town. In the gym. it'll-
Yeah, in the gym.
We'll vote
That's- this is
quickly.
a-
and-
has anyone ever served alcohol? Like, have a bar?
You can, it's
Not at
a
the
school.
school.
You can't at the school.
No.
You can at the library.
No, we could have a remote
Yeah,
site.
as we know from
That's what
this.
you need to do. And forget Ben, I mean, we should have remote sites where we can. Anyway, let's go.
All right, do you want me to make a motion and then we can
Sure.
learn about what they want?
Speaking of the library, yep.
Yeah, okay. I move pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 14, to approve the application submitted by Martha Feeney Patton on behalf of the Gleason Public Library Endowment for the issuance of a one-day special license to sell beer and wine at an event to be held on November 22nd, 2025, during the hours of 6:30 PM through 9:30 PM at 22 Bedford Road, Carlisle, Mass., the Gleason Public Library.
Second.
Beat me to it, David.
You shouldn't do it because you're a library person.
Anything else we need to know about this one?
And they've got signed off with the police and.
Yep.
Yep, I see it here.
It's great fun. I encourage you all to attend.
November 22nd. All right. We had a second?
Yep.
Okay, that's right. Any further discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, let's do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Excellent. TA report.
Great.
Look at
Earliest
this, we're
ever.
so far ahead. He's gonna take 50 minutes now.
5 minutes before the report
Oh,
to talk about what's being presented on Thursday. So while you guys have been messing around with MBTA and stuff, we've been working on the FY27 budget and some of the finances that will inform a lot of the stuff you just talked about. So
Wait, Thursday, when, did we?
this is not for us.
this is just
Okay.
this is information only.
Okay.
So you can ask questions, but
I knew we're doing a
That's-
budget meeting,
yeah,
but
we're
not
gonna-
till after
yeah.
town meeting.
That's right.
extending the capital plan 10 years.
Yep.
And understanding that departments are used to front loading.
Yep.
Just want to show you some bottom line numbers. Of course, each detail matters and each one will be vetted and it's its own conversation, but if you were to look at
There's no bottom.
the two big totals,
It just keeps going.
right? So DPW is primarily your road and culvert maintenance costs. And your facilities are all the other buildings and maintenance that
So none of this is all included debt, not excluded debt.
included debt.
Right, okay.
And then we took a look at low-hanging fruit in terms of grants and things.
Yep.
We compared the expense to what we think we can pay with other sources, so
Yeah.
not free cash. And
Yep.
for the next 3 years, you have
Right.
a 2 million plus hole. So
Oof.
it's likely
Is that column D is fiscal 27?
7, 28, 29. And
Yeah.
on. So there's lots of different things here. You can defer things out and other things. It's not final. This is still being vetted heavily, but there's no way to say that you're going to be able to afford the stuff just to maintain your capital for the next couple of years without additional borrowing, which means the story we've been telling about capital is the buildings are outside of the budget or excluded, which is why we keep recommending that you talk about it and vote it to be outside of Prop 2.5 or the normal increase. So you can relatively safely expect about 800,000 to 1.2 million in free cash a year above your reserve totals. So that's the deficit you're looking at, is about $1 million. So the first things you're going to try to cut are road maintenance, culverts, buildings, right? Those are your big pots. So you can police cruiser your way into a lower cost for sure, but you can't cut into $1 million without sacrificing something.
How much ceiling is there in the levy limit? How much reserve?
Excess levy capacity?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Over 3 million.
Right, so there's enough to get through that period.
That would increase your taxes.
Yeah, I know, but you can do it. I mean, the worst is a 2.5 override,
Yes.
right? That's a real hard vote. So
You're a long ways from there.
I'm a long ways from there, right? So we can raise people's, we are gonna raise people's taxes. And the bar charts that Scott showed
He's really not running for reelection.
are 27, 28, 29. Those don't hit till column G, right? The-
Yes, but those aren't in here. This is
No,
everything.
no, I know, but what I'm saying is these deficits, if you will, are, if this is the right, let's say this is the picture, then we will be clear of that little speed bump before we layer on the building debt.
Yeah, unless you use debt, and then it's going to compound.
I'm just thinking about tax bill.
Right. So if you did a 1-year tax increase to pay for some of these, then yeah, you can.
Yeah. So I think it's manageable.
This is just something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the second thing I want to show you is super preliminary, right?
Uh-oh.
So we are going to be recommending a very austere budget to the Finance Committee. We always hint at that, but this year it's
Okay.
like COLA and that's it. It's
Okay.
our recommendation, and here's why.
Yep.
So the You've already heard CCHS.
Yep.
Okay, that increase is about half of your normal new spend. If I'm just trying to think of ways to really simplify this.
750,
The allocation increase, yeah.
delta, 747, yeah.
Now, that's built on a lot of variables and them not using different levers.
But that's based on October 1 ratio data, right?
Correct. Yep. So then, a very conservative 3% for the schools is another 400,000.
Yeah.
We get a quote-unquote break this year from MCRS and only have a 6% increase in the assessment. That's 120,000.
What is that?
That's a retirement. That
Okay.
was like bananas last year, if you remember.
Right,
Every other year, right?
Every other year.
Health is going through the roof.
So that's 20% for health insurance, and we're hoping it's 20% at
20%.
this point.
Wow.
And then, so this is a very controversial, especially for this board, but I'm just saying everything else besides those things, let's say it's at 3%, would be another 329. So that would put your new spend at 2 million.
Yeah.
Just by comparison, last year you had a big new spend and it was 1.7,
It was less because
Oh,
of the
yeah.
assessment ratio thing.
but you thought it was big because it's bigger than normal.
But we
Right,
knew
but
this was
now-
coming. We talked about
Yeah,
this for the
yeah,
last 2 years. We said,
yeah.
this is coming.
And then these are your budget numbers. So last year was a 4.87% overall budget increase. You're looking at 5.42.
Right, but if you,
Did all this.
right, but to your, I think where you're going with this, if you were to strip out, like, just, you're on a spreadsheet now, make the 747 zero, just do that, go up to the, just make that zero. Okay, does it?
Good
math?
job, David. You solved the problem.
Okay, no, but I'm trying to put it in context.
No, I know.
You're
No
taking
new students are going
500,000
to
out of your new spend even compared to last year. And you're only proposing a 3.4%
Yep.
in the operating line.
So why I'm putting these two together
Yep.
is you can one-time yourself out of this problem for sure, or increase your taxes. However, if you take free cash to offset this problem, which would be the inclination, you have the capital problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but this is not a one-time bump, right? What's the demographic show?
I think the allocation is a one-year bump.
one-time.
One-year bump.
Goes
so
right back down again the next year? No.
In theory,
I think that's,
but this one was supposed to be a little speed bump, if you remember, and it's a huge one, so.
Why is that? Because we have a bigger senior class?
And also Concord's lost some,
No, I know,
Yeah.
but
Their number.
that argues for a longer-term effectiveness.
This was according to their, I'm using
I
their
don't
data.
agree with, I don't know how that could possibly be. You either when you have more kids, if suddenly our percentage, which is what this is,
there might be a big
a
incoming
big
class.
what? A big
for
incoming class,
Concord.
you own it for 3 years, 4
For
years.
Concord.
So it was.
But Concord's gonna have some new product come
Oh.
online too in the next
New
year or
product,
two.
New product.
Okay, I mean, that may be.
Sorry.
I don't- Well, and I don't think they're expecting it to go up commensurately, so I think it worse.
It's not the
we
going
have to-
up part.
We have to
It's-
absorb and, yeah.
If you free cash this little bump
Right.
and
Yeah.
this slope is, it's all those years of that. It
Yeah.
Right.
could even decline, but it's still a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why
Yeah.
I don't think free cash is a good approach. I think you gotta do that.
So I would like you to consider three things from this. One, there's more capital, as you know, than you can
Yeah.
afford. The second piece is that whole building discussion you had about controlling taxes. Like
Yeah.
here is that part of this, is the controlling the taxes. And then the last part is how all this works with debt. So if you don't exclude it, you're gonna bury yourself in this budget because you can't afford what you have.
But what piece of it could you exclude?
I would only exclude the buildings, and I would.
Well, right.
Yeah.
No,
Yes,
that's
you-
a given. I'm saying, you seem to be saying there are other elements in that 2.5 million or whatever you showed in the.
To afford some of the other repairs, like town hall and other things, you're gonna need to borrow.
But you would exclude that borrowing as well?
I wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't, right.
I would just roll it into the budget, and as long as you're saying, we're gonna maintain this budget and pay for buildings on top, it'll kinda work.
Right.
With some,
You won't get up to 2.5%. You won't have the override. So you-
No, because,
the override.
no, people will be paying 5 to 10% increase in their tax, well, 5. I mean, at the end of the day, most people are just gonna look at what my tax bill was and what it is, right? They're not gonna know the nuance of excluded debt versus
Right.
levy limit. It doesn't matter, it's the bill, right? So what I'm hearing is we could take care of a 3-year bump up in the normal CapEx that would not be excluded, would raise the budget. It would be a 5% annual or whatever it would be, but it wouldn't bump against the levy limit. And it would be before the excluded debt starts to hit.
Yeah, instead of going like this,
Right.
you're gonna go.
So that's an okay outcome. Now, people, again, if people vote the fire station, and with it, let's say paired with the DPW, then they are preparing themselves for a $1,000 tax increase. That's not this, right? So they're gonna have maybe steeper than they'd like. Nobody wants an increase, but not like a total, wipeout increase in the next 3 years.
What was your metric for every, I don't remember how you do it, every 100,000 you adds to what to the house?
$50 to the average tax bill.
100,000 is $50. All right, so $2 million is,
A lot of $100.
what?
A lot of $100.
Grand.
Yeah,
It's a grand.
yeah.
That's with a lot of variables. It's
Okay.
today's tax rate.
But,
Now-
but so then you got that, plus you
No,
got.
you do, but but it comes down. Some of that it's a 1 year. There's 3 high years.
It's only 3 years and
Yeah,
then.
and then it goes down, so you make a little bit of room.
So
It's not quite like, it's a little better than that. But what's not, what's early is the pushback. Oh, no, I mean, one of the analyses that you may have done or should do is the teacher contracts, like the actual, not the contract, but the people. How many are getting steps, how many are getting lanes, what does that really look like for CPS in a total dollar amount for next year? Because we're still in a contract, right? So it's a known thing.
Yeah,
It's
well, you
not a-
get some retirements, new teachers come in, they're lower cost, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I think in a system like ours, we can model it with pretty good
Yeah.
accuracy. I mean, that may alone be 3.5% or 4% or something.
So the capital model is consistently predicting you're gonna have to use all your levers in order to keep that 3%, to keep your excess levy capacity, and then you'll have to layer on the buildings.
Right,
It's not a news story, I'm just gearing you up for FY '27.
Yeah.
right.
So we're gonna tell departments that we feel like we've gotten to a good place with our services, and there's nothing new.
Right.
Right? There's only cuts and
I think,
paying our employees. That's it.
right, well, they have to understand a version of the message that we talked about before. Like, the town has to right now prioritize capital expenditures to maintain what its service level, and everything else has to tuck in. And, some people might leave, right, I guess, but you've done a good job at truing up your salary structure, right? So people are now fairly compensated.
I think so, yeah.
Right, so, you've done the best job you can. You can't keep everybody.
So one of the biggest discussion points is going to be the non-educational impacts in the education budgets contributing to this.
Say that
What do you mean by that?
OPEB,
Oh,
Right.
oh,
E&D
You mean at the region?
at the region,
The region.
other levers that can help control the
Right.
swing.
yeah.
That's, welcome to the junior partnership.
Yeah.
It's,
But you said Concord, you had mentioned, and I've been following their budget process, they're up against it a bit from a budget standpoint.
Yeah.
but don't forget, they're getting 750,000 that they weren't getting last year, right? From us.
Yeah,
So it's relieves some of that pressure. It's very difficult for us to exercise much leverage in that argument.
It's just, I think it's hard to max your E&D while one town is trying to pay for $35 million in buildings. I think that's hard. It's a hard sell to me.
They could come back and say, well, let's take a look at your free cash position, Mr. McLean. How come you're generating $1 million, $2 million every year? Maybe you should tighten that down first. So you can make the argument. I just don't think it's gonna get much traction.
I think the town savings, I've been saying this at FinCom for a couple of years now, should be considered in its entirety and not
Yeah.
you have a savings and you have a savings. It has to be looked at as a total picture. Otherwise,
But E&D can't really be part of that because it doesn't belong to us, right?
their assessment includes this increase of E&D.
Right.
They're not just targeting E&D, I'm saying
Education and.
Excess and
Excess and
deficiency.
deficiency. It's like your
Excess and
free cash. It's a slush fund.
Oh, okay, okay.
But it's statutorily capped at 5.
right.
And they run it
They
right at
went
the
over
max.
last year.
And, well, you can't go over, then you have to give the money back, right?
They didn't. They put it into OPEB
Well,
and
they
caps that.
shouldn't, they shouldn't do that. The school committee is asleep then if they let them do that. But I think, it's like us being told, well, in fact, they're being told, like, don't overfund OPEB, like, don't put it into OPEB. Don't tell me what to do with my OPEB. That's where I want to put the money, right? It's a hard argument.
Yes, the whole thing is hard. Okay, here's my town administrator
Yeah, we
report
haven't even got to the
for October 21st.
Back on schedule.
I did have a coffee hour last week. It was raining, and people still came, so I was
Is this
impressed.
at Clark Farm?
I thought I was just going to walk and look at the vegetables for an hour, but I had a ton of people come in on the 14th, about half a dozen people or so. And we talked about MBTA communities, of course, residency requirements for town committees. That's still something that's being talked about. Senior tax abatements, some of the efforts that the COHS has done, and some of these tax conversations continue to happen, always with civility and an ear towards democracy. So I enjoy these discussions. I'll continue them through the holidays. I think they help inform me on where the town is at, and as you can see, they kind of match the issues that you're dealing with as well. For the Human Resources Report, you were notified today of appointments of Jessica and Mark, our new Finance and HR Assistant, and Police and Animal Control Officer. Both of them come highly recommended and with a ton of experience, so we're happy to add them to the team. Mark is going to be filling the Animal Control Officer role, which was done by volunteers and part-timers and piecemeal. All did an excellent and professional job, but this should make it more sustainable over time as those people no longer want to serve in those roles. The two big recruitments we have are with police officers and COHS van drivers. Both are going to be a continuing recruitment, I think, for the next few years, and maybe forever, as we continue to try and recruit on the municipal side of the house. For department updates, this is kind of a big one. A lot of people are talking about this. So the speed limit signs in the town center, your safety committee did a good job vetting this with the police department, and to make it as succinct as possible, the town passed a town-wide speed limit, I believe about 6 years ago, passed at a town meeting that said we're going to lower the speed in town. The problem with that particular MGL is it's only for very dense areas, and Carlisle really doesn't qualify anywhere as dense. The only places where you might get some qualification is school zones or other real safety-oriented places. So because we passed that law, some town officials did put signs in that were lowering the speed limit, but that wasn't done in accordance with Mass DOT standards. So when we went to ask them to correct other things, they said, you're not in compliance. So because we're not in compliance in 6 different spots, we have to come into compliance, so then we can talk to them about the areas that we think should be lower, like the Rotary in the town center. So it's kind of a 2 steps forward, 1 step back type of situation where the safety committee advocated for it, the police advocated for it, DPW advocated for it, but we need to do this. Because the signs changed and because Carlisleans pay attention, we have been getting a ton of inquiries about this, and we've been sending them that same message. But the safety committee is committed to working on this quickly, and especially in the town center and other areas that are highly controversial for speed. In addition, the police are going to make sure that they're enforcing speed in those areas, because the biggest concern is if something goes up to 40, that people are really going to drive 50. We're going to try and control that as much as possible without being over-aggressive. But
So you have to bring everything back to the pre-limit and then re-petition to bring it back down.
yeah, and we're not the only rural town that faces this. A lot of people try to lower their speed limits, but that's just not how speed limits work.
But what is the, like, why? Like, does the MGL debate it? Why do they care? Like, if it's gonna get to the same spot again?
Because I believe, this is just wild speculation now, that everybody would lower it so low that there would be a backlash to that. So people would lower it to 10, 20 miles an hour in their special town centers
I see.
all around the Commonwealth.
So they do some, what they're saying is, whoever they is, DOT or something, they do some oversight of the practicality of what you're asking for.
Yes. And we've hit kind of the gray area, as we usually do in Carlisle and in the MGL, that there is spots where we need this, but it doesn't quite qualify. So we need to make sure that we have some study or some other
Oh, jeez.
metric that allows us to do this. Why do we care? We care because if someone gets pulled over, they can then not sue us, but challenge any of our speed enforcement, et cetera, because our zones aren't posted properly. So that's another reason for doing this and why the police were involved. So more to come on that. I'm sure you're going to get individual requests. We've had a couple dozen at least, which is a lot. And there's been discussions on all the places that people talk in Carlisle.
Mhm.
The town clock repair, which is much less controversial, is now done and chiming again. We sent
I like your graphic.
I did
presentation.
too.
It was like-
How many chimes over?
So that was Rob and Mark. And my favorite detail from their report was the bell strikes 57,000 times per year.
Wow.
It's been going for 130 years, so that's about 7.4 million strikes.
But it was
So how
also
much did-
very cool, the pictures.
I liked
that-
it, yeah, the
and-
Yes.
way they
They
put a
went
bearing in
through
there, that was
what they
smart,
had
yeah.
to do, yeah.
That was very, very clever.
Yeah.
So how much did that repair cost total?
1,500.
So later during the liaison report, I got quite the
You can't
education
even
last night.
mic up an auditorium for that.
Nope.
Even a tenth of an auditorium.
We should get them running the AV.
Sorry, you were asking.
I was just going to say, during our liaison report, I learned that we actually have a Gleason Clock Fund funded at about $1,500. Or maybe you already knew that. I got an education.
And it's for the, which clock?
Someone left the
We'll take it.
Gleason family left a clock fund for the taking care of the town clock at the Unitarian Church.
Oh, it's the church? Huh.
Yeah, this is part of the town
Oh, it's a
trust
union.
fund
Does it
administration.
have a
Different than
chime?
this one.
Not the chiming one.
Town, yeah, that's exactly the same
the same
clock.
one.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's the
Well,
FRS.
take it, take it,
one.
there you go.
So that's on the church, but it's our clock, and we do pay someone to maintain it every year.
But
Well-
we're saying, can't we use this fund?
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Great.
it.
Trying to go through all these funds to identify.
Put it
Yeah.
in the capital.
So, yeah, I mean, more later, but
Every,
yes.
every dollar counts.
So the clock is fixed, and I thought you would think that repair was interesting.
Yeah.
It
Yes,
was. It was
definitely.
very interesting.
And you know,
Would
I
you send that
noticed
to the
when it,
mosquito? They would be in, they should publish that. little-
yeah,
I will, and
You
they
should
usually,
send that to Betsy. I bet they would like to run an
Yeah.
article like that.
they usually glean these reports too, so
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see something on it.
but I noticed when it started up again.
Sarah Hart's on. Sarah,
How does it chime 57,000 times a year? You
you have to count like
That doesn't
7,
sound- that's
8,
not right.
9.
Remember, they, you know, when
Oh,
it's like,
the
It's not-
cumulative.
11 a.m.
Yes,
It's
not-
yes.
it's
When
each
you say
bong.
times, you don't
It's each
mean an
dong,
event.
dong,
You
dong.
mean,
Yeah.
I see.
I respect that you did the math, though. That's-
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't add up. No, it does.
All right, budget updates. We just had a preview of this before this report began, but we are finishing our financial forecast and preliminary capital planning model. This is informing the budget guidance. It's going out just after town meeting, and a first draft of the budget will be in front of you in the Finance Committee at your December 16th meeting. Also attached to this report is the draft budget calendar. By setting the town meeting date, we were able to fill in a lot of those dates. Some of them are familiar, the budget draft in December, the FinCom's marathon meetings in January, and then a couple months of your deliberations leading up to the town meeting warrant publishing. As I told you before this report began, early indicators suggest significant budget challenges. I know those come every year, but if you're really trying to put this budget in the multi-year context, if you don't make decisions this year, you're just going to keep compounding the problem in future years. Especially as you take on these major building projects in town. The elevator project, we had to delay 1 week. It was our choice to make sure that people had the proper prevailing wage rates. Those are due Friday, so we're hoping to see final numbers for the elevator project on Friday. Brick building HVAC system continues to be scheduled. We're really trying to get that done before the winter. The town hall bathroom renovations, or the restroom renovations, those are out to bid. We expect to see bids by the end of this month. And the MFC is considering funding the whole project given the need for the plumbing repairs that you saw shut down town hall at one point. So the new scope includes replacing all that piping to try and prevent that issue, and if possible, an alternate to install pH balancers to make sure we don't have those pinhole leaks anymore.
Okay.
Cemetery mapping. It says new information on this report, but they began mapping.
That's 70.
They have a crew coming in with their equipment, and they're going to do mapping of the Green Cemetery. It's going to be very, very cool and interesting when that comes about. And Gretchen's heavily involved in that, so is Jim in that project, in addition to your cemetery committee. And paving will begin tomorrow. Pheasant Hill is going first, and then Thursday and Friday you're going to see Acton Street. And also they're going to fit in the facilities parking lot in there. The Banta Davis track, this is CPA projects. The Banta Davis track rehabilitation is now complete.
And under,
And under
Under
budget.
Under budget.
less
Double
than
gold star.
projected.
Oh, that was the other warrant article that fell off.
The rest of the CPA projects are at a standstill, and I can tell you it's mostly because of the staff focusing on town meeting. So should see a lot happen after November 2nd. For building construction projects, I don't have any significant information for the library renovation. Things continue to move. For the police station renovation, they have begun more substantial work this week and next. They had some slowness with permitting, but that was fixed, and they're now going to start with the hopefully the excavation part of the project, which is one of the most significant early phases of the project. The fire station renovation, there's a whole site dedicated to your work on the fire station renovation, including a tour. I believe you produced that.
Yep, me and the
that-
chief.
That video, people have been talking about it, the staff love it, so great job on the video
700
tour.
views the last I checked, which is pretty good for Carlisle.
Yeah.
Should monetize that.
Right, you got a new, you got a new possibility here for.
Our local influencer here.
Oh, no, I just used my iPhone. Yeah, no, I'm
All right,
enough
so
of these things. I know I can.
DPW is going to be one of your major building is going to be one of your major focuses after town meeting.
Yeah.
If you want to meet some timeframes, so that's upcoming, but no new information. Some discussion topics you should prepare yourself for: continuing the personnel policies, which were put on hold for town meeting. You have a scheduled tax classification hearing, your annual look at the tax rate. Spoiler alert: your projections in the budget were dead on last year, so it looks like our model is refined. The 27 budget, which we've discussed a couple times, and then evaluating me. Town sign notifications. We approved a couple, and they're in your packet as always. Nothing significant, normal signs in the Rotary, and we continue to make sure that only the approved signs are in the Rotary, which is a more significant task than you would think. People sneak them in there. For staff recognition, I have one today, Jim Hall. So my respect for Jim and the entire DPW staff is well known. I think they get a lot done, and you can tell they're one of my favorite departments. But despite his demanding schedule, Jim completed a series of professional development courses to deepen his understanding of the tree warden role, which has been both good and bad for me. Good because of the added expertise, and bad because he's immediately noticing all the things and costs we need to fix related to trees.
The tree capital plan. now.
Applied this, yeah, we're going to have a tree capital plan. Applied this knowledge in helping assistants to include an emergency tree removal, so it's already paying dividends. He's also responded to dozens of resident and staff requests related to roads, trees, and debris, consistently improving town services and enhancing public safety. Beyond these daily responsibilities, he's involved in several major initiatives, including the cemetery mapping project, the road maintenance plan, coordination with the Concord Bridge repair, the utility company projects, and multi-year planning for road and culvert maintenance. So a lot of our staff is irreplaceable. Jim is definitely one of those people. We're working on having a plan for when he's gone, but he says he's going to stay for a while, and that's going to be good for Carlisle.
Good.
And besides looking at the fun pictures, I'll just remind of the town clock repair. I'll just remind the board I am gone Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of next week. We have a whole plan in place to keep me in communication about town meeting, which has gotten a little bit less significant, but if you need me, I'll be available by cell phone. And that is my report.
Right.
Okay.
Ryan, I know under upcoming select board dates, at our last planning meeting, we had discussed the option of, we're meeting on November 18th next. However, given the timing of the budget letter, we discussed potentially having a specific meeting around the budget the week of special town meeting, the November 4th or 5th. It would be maybe an hour to do that.
When do you want to do this?
This would be November 4th or 5th if people have availability. This would allow us to, We had originally talked about putting a budget discussion into this meeting, but
Yeah.
with everything going on, it just didn't make sense.
You want to sneak a meeting in this?
Sneak a 1-hour single agenda item.
On the 4th, Tuesday?
I.
Because we're
I won't
assuming
be
it's
able
going to
to
be
make
one
that,
day
but,
now. What's that, Travis?
I'm just saying, I won't be able to make it, but that doesn't preclude, I could make Wednesday.
Yeah, I think we were thinking actually, just
Going
because,
for Wednesday
I don't
night?
care.
If we were planning to come to a second night of special town meeting on Monday, could we
Yeah.
do it that Monday? I'm assuming we all had our calendars blocked
Oh,
out.
that's,
fair enough, yeah. Yeah, I had it blocked off.
Yeah.
I mean, Monday would work, and we could do it in the evening or in the morning, whatever works with people. Probably easier to keep it in the evening, and we could do like a 6 o'clock or a 7 o'clock, and it would just be this.
Does that work for you, Travis?
yes, it does, Monday's no problem.
I don't care. I'm agnostic to the days of those 3 days.
So Monday, November 3rd?
Yeah, why don't we do Monday, November 3rd at 7 o'clock, a good start time for
It's a
folks?
1-hour meeting,
Yeah.
1 hour.
Just
You're-
on budget.
Uh,
FY '27?
Do you want to do it, or is it remote easier for
What-
everyone?
What do you think nature of the conversation? Is it,
It's just presenting more of this budget detail and you providing guidance to send to departments.
do you guys have a preference? You want to do it remote?
Sure.
That's fine. It's
Okay.
easier to share screens.
Yeah, let's do remote,
That's true.
Monday the 3rd at 7 o'clock,
And we're saying this is PM, correct?
PM. And that'll allow us to chime in on that before it goes out.
Okay.
And I think just having some dedicated time to kind of look, just
Right.
focus on the budget is a good page turn from special town meeting.
Sure.
Or maybe not. Okay?
Sounds good?
Do we,
We don't have a meeting tomorrow.
we do not, okay. And just looking at the dates up here, I'm just thinking about the evaluation of the town administrator.
We're gonna
Are
kick
we
that off on
thinking-
our next regular meeting on the 18th.
Yeah, and so are we thinking, though, that that will be completed
We'll do
by the 16th?
I don't think
So we're
so.
doing something public, okay, so it wouldn't be until January.
Yeah, we can hammer that out.
Okay, then we
but
can talk about
I
that,
think,
yeah.
yeah, with the
All right.
holidays and everything, I think we can do it
Yep.
at the first meeting after the new year.
Okay.
Okay? Oh, yeah, oh, I have the agenda, let's see.
Hmm.
Let's go back to the top.
We gotta do minutes, liaison reports, yeah.
Liaison reports. Christine, you had started,
Yeah, I got quite the education yesterday from Sandy. We have
Oh, yeah.
18 funds that people have left us over the years. She didn't put dates on them, but the oldest one that she mentioned verbally dated to 1793.
It's the one in pounds sterling or something?
So that one is not, but there is another one in pounds, yes. And several of them mention that they are to benefit the worthy poor in town, whatever
I
worthy
don't want
might
to do
be.
anything unworthy.
Yeah, and then there are several school funds, for instance, that have never been touched, never once tapped, which is kind of a waste. So all told, the 18 funds total, let's call it a couple $100,000. So there's some money to be spent, and some of them are very specific. Like I mentioned, there's a lease and clock fund that is currently has available to spend $1,467.86, which is just about perfect to offset what just happened.
So Christine,
Yeah.
if you were to say do that, can one close the fund then at that point?
No, because there's still principal left over.
Yeah, that's what my question was. Are
Oh.
those principal dollars, or are those get to be all
That's to
spent?
be, ready to
That's-
be allocated.
Okay.
All
How
that
much
to be allocated?
principal?
There's
Yeah.
principal above that?
On that particular one, yes, there is still another
No, but I mean,
$2,000 of
in
principal
aggregate.
above it.
In
Yeah,
aggregate?
aggregate, do we have any idea what the principal is?
On just the clock fund or the
No,
whole
the
thing?
whole
All
fund.
18.
So, yeah, Sandy gave it to me in hard copy, and she doesn't have a tally on this particular table. Just eyeballing it, available to be spent is more than a couple $100,000.
Right.
And then the principal, let's see how I eyeball it. I'd say it's probably $300,000. So,
In addition, an additional 300.
yes, in principle, yes.
Right.
And
And the
then
reason we can't spend that is it's got some gates and the way you can.
Yeah, each of bequests had its own, little stipulations, but the early word from the committee, the working group, is that we're gonna take Tom Harrison's good advice and combine similar, funds that are for similar purposes. The state needs to approve it, so we're off and running is basically the report, but, it was an interesting, my eyes were opened, I had no idea. You may be amused to learn, as I was, that someone set aside $1,000 a very long time ago for the repair of sidewalks, which is useful, and the planting of shade trees in Carlisle, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay, and that is my report from the Trust Fund Working Group.
Does the trust fund working group we talked about this, I think, in the past. Those funds can be invested only in certain types of investments, and it's very highly regulated.
Sandy said they're all under basically one big savings account, and she keeps a tally on how much each one is worth. So I am not aware of any sort of other.
There's two different questions. Some of our funds have that restriction.
It would be great if these didn't have to have that, and you could grow the principal in a.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to these specifically. I know that the state's gotten more liberal.
So you're saying
But-
you think there's rules on how we invest it?
Yeah, there are rules.
There are.
There's limitations.
There's
to what-
limitations.
That didn't come up last night.
But it would be,
Okay.
I don't know.
And all town funds, we can't just.
Right, all town funds.
Because
So-
they're just sitting in a checking, or not checking, a small
savings
savings
account,
account, and
yeah.
and if you're talking 100 years, it
Yeah,
would
I
be
know, we've given up a
massive
lot,
if
we've
you
given
don't-
up a lot of money, right? Well, yeah, there's a bigger picture of that. And, yeah.
Anyway,
So the aim is to combine these into, let's call it 4
To
types of
consolidate?
accounts.
Yeah, make it.
Right, so the
Yeah.
question, go ahead, sorry.
But you were saying you have to get approval from the state to do some of that?
Oh, when we, when we combine them.
Consolidate, yeah.
So you've got several things you can do, right? You can authorize a spend,
Yes.
which if it's available, is that, some of them are not, like your committee, they go back to school committee, are there some rules about
So
that?
that has not been decided yet, but I mean, it does sort of, logic would dictate that, there's 4 funds that are for scholarship funds. It gets a little bit tricky in that while they're designated to be spent by the school committee, apparently at some point you could graduate from the equivalent of CPS and then go to college because they're meant to be college scholarship funds, but they're to be
But the question is who,
awarded by the school committee.
the first thing is, there's this bucket of money that's available.
Yes.
Who has purview over awarding it? And that's,
Yes.
you're working on that, right?
We are, yes.
Okay, so that's one mission. Then there's what's left over and how to consolidate it and what the rules are
And
about
we're
that.
working on that,
And then
yes.
if you can consolidate, what is the mechanism by which you can extinguish?
Right.
The whole idea would be to have fewer funds, right?
That is
Right,
correct,
right.
yeah.
The investment rule thing, I mean, Bartholomew, I think it was, what, was that Ryan? I can't remember now. I don't think you were at that meeting, but the state has relaxed. They had a very restrictive one, like only money market kind of thing, and then now they've opened it up quite a bit. We've opted for still a fairly conservative model, but is it Bartholomew that manages that for us?
Yep, with Sandy.
Right, I know, but I don't know where the funds were, that bucket. Kelly has a spreadsheet, maybe it's that one,
Well,
it's maybe a different one.
I think they
Sandy
have
gave
been.
us this spreadsheet, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, they've
And
been
what was it
earning.
we approved that gave Sandy more flexibility?
Prudent investor?
Yeah, but that's the one, prudent
Yeah.
investor. But were these part of that?
No.
No, okay.
But they've been invested in the lower risk funds.
I don't know where these sit, but
No,
I,
but they have been, right? They haven't been just sitting in a checking account. I don't
No,
know.
they're invested.
Yeah. So they've been growing.
a little bit, yeah.
Gets pound sterling.
Those were the
Great.
old
Great.
$12 pounds, right? Didn't they overnight, they went from, remember that? They went from, you guys don't remember it, but I do. It was like, a pound was like worth $8, and then the next day was $2. Like, they did a, one-day thing
Huh.
back in.
When was this, David?
Like in the 70s, I think.
All right, we're gonna get out of here early tonight. So,
That was.
other liaison updates.
Affordable Housing Trust met, and we took a vote to support West Street. So they're gonna call another meeting, I think, for next week.
Support
For
what?
Plan B.
West Street.
West Street.
West Street for
Oh.
MBTA.
So we're gonna take another vote next week.
Vote for the one you don't want.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else?
You presented to the MFC, but one of the things the MFC is working on is coming up with a longer-term capital plan of this, and
Of-
that'll,
like what?
of this, and it's all gonna get factored in, and it's gonna be, you know, it's not gonna be pretty in how it all flows. I mean, pretty be in this.
But
it'll be
for that
helpful.
chart, did MFC have an input into that chart?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a meeting on the 30th with FinCom and the school committee and the administration to review the draft of the budget. So,
So you'll be the guy to deliver the message.
yeah, yeah. Other than that, we heard from the historical commission tonight. And we heard from school committee, so.
So just on the, we had the little sidebar on the E&D. We have limited leverage, but we don't have no leverage.
Right.
And the way to do that is to actually, this might be a FinCom job, you can think about
And they
talking.
just they've been meeting with the Concord FinCom.
Yeah, you gotta be tight with those guys, and go to their meetings and make the
Yep.
point. That's something I did when I was chairing FinCom, and that's kind of the only way, I guess, to get, because the school committee's really, it doesn't work well, because we're only 2 of 7 at the region, and they're not that financially focused anyway, and their business guy, Connery or whatever, he's gonna say, well, this is great, right? We got extra money from Carlisle, this is where we need to spend it, you know, so it's gotta be, my recommendation is through the FinComs.
Yep.
I have a quick report, just as the liaison for the Council on Aging. Their vaccination clinic was very successful.
Oh, good.
And
Yeah.
I just want to give you a couple of numbers from Jeff's report. They had 134 residents. They administered a total of 114 flu vaccines, 74 COVID, 10
Shingles.
Shingrix.
Yeah, that's
Shingles.
important, actually.
10 RSV, 3 Tdap, and 2 pneumonia vaccinations. More than 35 walk-in participants were welcomed, because, you know, the other people had already pre-registered.
And where was it held?
Right here,
Yeah.
yeah, Clark Room in the lobby, and
Yeah.
I had my calendar.
and,
Stupid.
it ran very smoothly, and there were no issues, and there was a little bit of backup at one point because it was really busy, but no logistical issues and no medical emergencies, and
When was it?
it was Saturday.
It
This
was
past
Saturday, and they had it slotted out to
I
where.
have it written down.
You
there, but
need
I
to,
couldn't
you
do it.
came, according to the letter of your last name, so my family was registered, and we, came at 3:15. We waited an hour. We were at the end of the day, but someone had provided like a whole nice table of cakes and cookies, and, it was very well done.
Good, great.
So, very successful.
Good.
And this is the first time, that COAHS has
Yeah,
done
BOH
this
did it.
with Walgreens,
Right, BOH would do it and complain about it. COA just got it done, right?
Yep.
Actually, exactly what happened.
Exactly, yeah. Just like the hazardous thing that's coming up, right? Hazardous
Whoa,
material day.
October 25th.
Yeah, this is Saturday. right?
Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the CPC finally has a full membership. Sylvia
Okay.
Willard is the
Oh, yeah.
member on the CPC representing the CONSCOM.
Oh, very nice.
Great. Review of warrants and minutes. There's October 7th.
Yep.
Does someone want to make a motion or have a comment?
I
Yeah,
move to
I
accept
looked at them. They look fine.
the minutes as written.
October 7th, 2025. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And we're up to community input again. If anyone remaining has any community input they want to provide, please do so now. All right. Seeing none, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you.